Good Thursday morning. You're listening to Gary 1620 The Zone. I'm Matt. Jake Janisek on the ones and twos today. We are once again joined by the impeccable and undeniable Mr. Mike Schaefer on an impeccable and undeniable day because it is the beginning of Red Out Week. Red Out Week, brought to you by Union Bank and Trust, is the 7-day essentially celebration here on 1620 The Zone and our countdown to the beginning of the most beautiful time of the year, the best time of the year, the most forgiving, the most plentiful, and also at times the most painful time of year, football season, as the Huskers kick off next week. It's not the most forgiving time of year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know that I understood.
I think I was riffing, and you ever riff and you miss a riff, or you improv and you miss
all the time.
You miss a word.
You just power through it.
You just power through it.
You hope no one notices.
Sometimes it's
the problem
better.
is there's always someone that notices.
Exactly. Sometimes that's one of them where I do have to acknowledge it's probably the least forgiving time of the year, if we're being honest. Everybody's hearts get broken except for 131 hearts get broken. And only one doesn't.
So I know where you're going with that. But the thing is, if you're Nebraska, your heart wasn't necessarily broken last year. It was more or less just kind of still beating, which is better than what it had been previously. Sure. But I know what you're trying to say.
I'm just saying 131 teams aren't successful.
I would say there's like 20 teams that legitimately think they have a chance to win the.
I know what
you're trying to say, but I'm not accepting it. I'm denying it.
There's only one national champion out of 132 teams.
You think Georgia Southern's heart is broken if they don't win the national title this year?
Well, I'm saying at some point Georgia Southern's heart might be broken.
It's possible.
You can make the argument that the Huskers never had a heartbreaking moment, but it was breaking as the season went
they
on
had a heartbreaking
and
moment.
on and on.
You could basically refer to the entire second half against Iowa and the Black Friday. And I wouldn't call it heartbreaking. I would just call it
brutal.
Yeah. I don't know that there's any other
rough.
Rough does not allow for the
stupidity, the lack of execution, the clear just failure in some coaching aspects that happened during that.
The nice thing is that then the bowl game did happen, and for the first time in whatever amount of years, I can't even remember anymore, but for the first time in a long time, Nebraska got to end the season with an additional game. Even though it wasn't where they wanted to be, the fan base, I think, would have descended upon Orlando or descended upon Nashville.
Oh, my God. If it was in Nashville, that cap would have been
Matt Rule hadn't thrown his considerable pull behind not going to Charlotte. And I think it's not just –
I don't blame him for that.
Not just the what happened with the Panthers. I think that's a small part of it. I don't think, and I think this is probably fair, they didn't want to wait around. As long as that game was going to be played, they wanted to get it in, get guys off campus, allow for the transition of everything, come back strong.
I think another aspect of that too, just from a Rule perspective, if you're Matt Rule and you're told, hey, you can go to Charlotte or you can go to New York. And by the way, this is the first I'm hearing of this, so I can't speak on if this was the actual case. But I imagine the guy who grew up in New York, who knows a lot about
there was
the
some
history and like the ability also too. I don't think people understand how cool the music the Pinstripe Bowl is from the aspect of like the things you get to do before the game in terms of touring and like going to incredible like national attractions. And they went to a Christmas Day game in the Garden. That's like a bucket list item for some people in terms of sport.
I think there's a great draw if you don't have to pay for it and you get brought out there on the travel and you're not trying to figure out how to get to America's largest city during the busiest week of the year and most expensive.
That's a good point.
I mean, if it's paid for, absolutely.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If anything is paid for, I will do it. Okay. like somebody once asked me, they go, what is your favorite type of beer? And I go, free. Yeah. That's my favorite. Okay, that's if
eventually you'll get to the point in life where you're more willing to pay for a beer, not to have another beer.
Yeah, but I'm already
having
this conversation.
Your favorite beer should probably be another beer.
My favorite beer is an Old Style.
Yeah, that's fair.
And and then followed up by Miller Lite, and then probably,
You really are a Chicago boy,
and
aren't
then Cross Cream Brewery's Fairy Nectar.
you? Okay.
Those are the top 3. I think the Fairy Nectar is the beauty about the Fairy Nectar. It tastes so good, and I can have 3 of them, and we're good. Like we're chilling. Like we're like you know what Mike Gundy
Are you
said that
trying to
one
just
time?
not say the word buzzed or?
No, I like to use other words for other things.
Yeah.
I'm like in the Mike Gundy
We're
range.
chilling.
I'm in the Mike Gundy range. Do you remember when Gundy said that?
I remember a lot of things.
When he was talking about Ollie Gordon getting a DUI.
Yeah,
He's like, I've done that about 4 or 5 times, or 1,000 times. Okay, moving on. Red Out Week, an incredibly special week where it's already all Husker football, but even more so to a 10th degree. We're gonna try and have on some special guests throughout the week that represent the Husker flavor. Our first guest of Red Out Week, while is not a football guest, is a very special guest from the athletic department. A guest that everybody knows the name of. Somebody whose season doesn't start next week, but actually starts tomorrow. We're going to be having John Baylor, the voice of the Nebraska volleyball team, on at 6:35. He is by far the earliest guest I've ever had on for this show. So shout out to JB and his just willingness and ability to get up that early in the morning. So we're having JB on at 6:35, and then at 7:30, stick around. We're going to have a nice little prompt, and then we're going to follow that up with a segment at 9 o'clock in honor of Red Out Week, and hopefully we'll be doing what we'll be doing at 7:30 leading up to the game. Highly anticipated game between the Bearcats and the Huskers. We're not going to talk about that, though, to begin the show. We're going to talk about something else. Life hits you hard in the face sometimes. And there are moments where you're like, man, this sucks. This is terrible. Like, no, I know life has its funny way of doing things, but I'm not going to deny the fact that this is awful. I did not enjoy this at all. And we all saw that on national television yesterday. Well, actually, I mean ESPN yesterday, when the North Dakota Little League World Series team lost. South Dakota Little League World Series team lost an absolute heartbreaker to North Carolina. And
South Carolina.
I thought they were both Norths. Okay. So first off,
it literally says it in the graphic.
Let's paint the picture.
South Dakota, South Carolina.
First off, let's paint the picture here.
SD, SC.
I was not watching the game.
You weren't locked in. I understand.
I was not watching the game. In fact, I was watching Marvin Hagler fights, on YouTube yesterday, because of the terrible news that came out of boxing yesterday, which we will at some point talk about because I want to talk about it very badly. And you go, I'm watching a Little League World Series Classic.
Yeah, I was.
And
I
I'm
was
like,
as surprised as anybody.
I go, this is an absolute, I was surprised that I didn't peg you as a Little League World Series.
I'm not. I
actually peg you, knowing your personality, as quite the opposite of a Little League World Series.
I think that's probably more fair, but I don't live in my own house right now, so I don't get to control the TV. My in-laws have been very locked in on the Little League World Series.
Really?
My kid enjoys it. He loves live sports. Basketball is probably the favorite, but then baseball awesome. is up there. And so a lot of times, if the TV is on, it's on sports, and wasn't that much going on last night. Sure. It ends up, my father-in-law is switching back and forth between the Grit channel, which is largely Western movies, and then the Little League World Series if it's entertaining. And that game was entertaining. I will give it that. We got over there like late, probably 4th, 5th inning, and then it just kind of stayed locked in from there. So probably the most Little League World Series I've watched in years. But it was really good. It honestly was good.
Before we get there, can you not, I understand, because this is not something that I deal with, okay? But Was there ever a part of you thinking like, man, maybe I should flex some muscle here and be like, hey, can we put something on other than the Little League World Series?
No, because if I wanted to watch something else, I could just go somewhere else in the house.
Sure.
But my,
So you
my
were
kid was
locked in.
going down to sleep, and so
Okay.
I wanted to hang out with him upstairs.
So tough.
So it was fine.
so
And then, like I said, the game was entertaining.
You texted me, and immediately I turned it on because I was like, okay. And then I saw
What point did you get over to the game?
it was 6-3, and there was
Okay,
one.
so you got in the 7th inning. So
Yeah.
it was a 1-0 game going into the bottom of the 6th.
Okay, I didn't
And
know that.
South Dakota ends up having
Big
two
inning.
on. There's runners on first and second, 2 outs. Kid hits it into short center field, which should tie the game for South Carolina. But the South Dakota center fielder
I hate this.
with an
I hate every
absolute
part of
gun
this.
throws it to home plate. Not even a hop, just a perfect throw. So they end up holding the runner. South Dakota walks the next run in, ties. So then they go into the 7th inning. South Dakota pours in a bunch of runs. They're up 6-1. Then you come into the picture right around.
And then around 6-3, I come in, and they walked the bases loaded, and they walked a run in, and then this kid who looked way bigger than everybody else, like
they say. I thought they said he was like 6'4".
yeah, he was massive.
He also played right field and should have been burned on a ball, but because he was 6'4", he was able to jump
over.
and catch it.
He's the type of kid where, like, that the high school, recruits are at his grade school talking to him already. He's big, whatever his name was, Big Joey or whatever. That's probably his nickname. And he's the belle of the ball, the best athlete. He had a home run at some point. He comes up to the plate and he got an at bat that I swear that Barry Bonds gets in terms of just breaking ball, breaking like it was. And then the pitch that they got him out on was very like would freeze up a lot of people. It was incredible, like the pitch that they struck him on. So I was blown away by that. Then the kid who struck out, who had to be the best hitter on the team, then walked another guy. And then it's 6-4. I can't believe we're breaking this down like this.
Yeah, no, I'm amazed, to be honest.
Here's the
I didn't expect this.
Here is the slap in the face. Here is the gut wrenching moment. And this is what I was alluding to. There are moments in sports where you watch it happen. You watch an absolute collapse happen. And you're like, wow, that's going to change that guy's life. Like that guy's life in general has just changed because that just happened. Okay? Buckner. Easiest one. Change. That just Weber when he calls the timeout. Trent Grisham to a lower extent.
Did Weber's life change that much?
I think for a very long time that he was known for that.
I'm not saying he isn't known for it, but he still went on to the NBA, was an NBA
No, but
All-Star,
I do think when you make
clearly made a bunch of money.
When you are like a future Hall of Famer like that, and you
nearly played for an NBA title,
and you should have played for an NBA title.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't. Well, we could definitely. It's Red Out Week. We don't have to break out the 2001 Western Conference Finals, but we could if we wanted to. I do think it changed though, because for a very long time, despite the fact that he was incredible at basketball, the number 1 overall pick, like that was the story. That's what he was talked about. I'm sure it affected Chris Webber from a mental perspective. You just things kind of change. Now,
I wouldn't say that it changed in the same way it did for Buckner. Like I think there's a huge
there's a massive gap. Same thing. I was about to bring up Trent Grisham running over the ball in the wild card game when he was a Milwaukee Brewer.
No, that changed the entire Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
They won the World Series.
Yes. So like there are moments where another one, for example, that happened here in Omaha, that right fielder who dropped the fly ball against Nebraska. I'm sure that he thinks about that all the time because it eliminated his team whom he loved so much from the playoffs.
I would assume,
at the end of their season on a routine fly ball.
If you're going with one from Omaha this year, the shortstop for Arkansas comes to mind.
Yes.
Not going for the double play there.
Yes.
Essentially.
Like that's just one of those things where just singular moments can really have an effect on like, damn, like that, like that athlete is not going to forget that. That happened to a bunch of 12-year-old kids yesterday.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even that North Carolina hits the ball, they end up winning. South Carolina hits the ball, they end up winning the game. It's they thought they struck him out on the pitch right before. And they probably did. And the ump was just like, no, that's a ball. And the catcher, the battery celebrates. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. They get up to the mound. He goes quick. The pitcher goes quick. I think he's just like, want to get over it, throws the ball, game over.
The right fielder nearly made a heck of a catch.
They will never, but they would have been there would have been a tag too. And so it might have been a tie game, but it just the whole thing. I was watching a car crash in slow motion. And it was the Little League World Series, and I was captivated by it. And so,
you're welcome.
Kudos to you.
I wouldn't have been there without this entire move to Omaha.
Kudos to the Little League World Series. Kudos to all of that. Kudos. If I'm being honest with you, I couldn't help but laugh a little bit when it happened. Maybe I'm just a terrible human and a cynic, but it was just like one of those things where I'm like, damn, that sucks.
The wild thing is that prior to the bottom of the 6th inning, 1 run and a total of like 4 hits had been accumulated in that game. And then the 7th inning, an entirely different game broke out. It was
an entirely different game.
Yeah. It was very,
and I can't believe we're talking about it on the radio, but it was such an incredible moment.
I'm sure it's going to be a big,
Oh, I'm sure it'll be on First Take. Right after Caleb Williams, they'll talk about the South Carolina, South Dakota game.
First Take of South Dakota.
Yeah. They'll go, hey, can Caleb do it this year? Orlovsky will go, maybe. He's got to be better on quicker throws. Stephen A. Smith will go, if he's not good this year, they should trade him. Coming up next, what a collapse. South Carolina versus South Dakota. Will there be heads on the ground? Coming up next on First.
So you're calling for the firing of the South Dakota?
Oh, of course. I have no idea who.
You didn't even know which state it was.
No, I don't. That's how much I care.
That it was both North Carolina and North Dakota. That was my favorite part of all of this is that you went 2 for 2 and getting it wrong.
I knew it was a Carolina.
I'm glad that you figured out there's only 2 Carolinas and only 2 Dakotas.
I knew it was a Carolina. I knew it was a Dakota. If I'm being honest with you.
If you would have said East Carolina, I would have lost.
When I was explaining the game for a second, I go, in my head, I'm like, crap. I'm just gonna guess this here.
You've been like Midwest versus Southeast.
I was gonna go 1 north and 1 south, and then when he said, "Well, it's the wrong one," so I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go with south again, or north, whenever the one I went with." Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. I had no idea.
Yeah, you learned that yesterday.
I'm kidding. I'm a history minor.
I know that you think that he traveled back in time.
I did not think
Lincoln.
that. It's got the confused. You know what's not confusing? The Chicago Cubs are on a heater right now. Okay, that is not confusing.
Again,
I don't give a damn what you're about to
from
say.
Your lack of geography to your lack of history to the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, this is Gary.
Your lack of losing. I see the transition now.
It's a lack of losing. There was a collapse yesterday in the Little League World Series. There was a near collapse yesterday in Chicago, but there wasn't. We got it done, baby. 3 wins in a row against the best team in baseball. All right. Andrew Vaughn was only going to be like the greatest player of all time for so long. Okay. That is no longer the case. Cubs are back. Cubs are only.
The Cubs never went away. I was trying to explain this yesterday.
They did go.
You're like, they lost a bunch of series.
I never got to the point of out of their last 7 series.
There was like 3 teams that had a better record than them in all of baseball.
I know that. Well, now they have a better record than the LA Dodgers, which, by the way, shout out to Rockies, who have won 5 out of their last 6.
The Dodgers are perfecting this sleepwalk through the regular season, show up in October. Suddenly, every pitcher that's been on the IL will be available to go.
Real quick, because I don't know if I can fully speak on this to the manner that you can, and we have to go to a break here. But I just want to ask you this about the Dodgers. I listen to Talking Baseball, which is the John Boy Media kind of pod, and they go, the Dodgers are in first place in the NL West, and the Dodgers haven't played great baseball. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, they're, like I said, it just feels like they're sleepwalking through it.
This is a little bit, and I know this is cross sports, and so Tony Reale might get mad at me here. But it was a little bit like the 2021 LA Lakers, where they had just won the title. They had a somewhat new team, but they still had the same incredible players. Davis, LeBron, I think KCP was still on that team. And they go ahead and it was like that. They were just sleepwalking through the year, where it was just they never looked like themselves, but they were still winning games and they were somewhat competitive. But it was like when they get to the playoffs, this is probably the team that everybody is going to peg as, hey, they're probably going to win it. And they gave the Phoenix Suns the best run that they could, that anybody gave them outside of the Milwaukee Bucks, who ended up winning the title. But it's just one of those things where it's like it really, like, the World Series hangover and like all of that, and playing. Also, too, we have to remember with the LA Dodgers, like they've played more baseball than anybody else over the last decade in terms of just pure wear and tear. So I think they'll be fine. I don't think anybody's down in them. It'll be interesting if they don't win the division, though, which I think they're.
Yeah, no, what I
game
want
behind
to
now.
see happen is to see the Padres win the division, so then the Dodgers are in the best of 3 series, because then sort of anything can kind of happen.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, I was very frustrated when the Padres didn't make them walk the plank last year when they were up 2-1.
Sure.
Could have finished that thing out.
Sure.
So.
Hey, we'll go to Clayton real quick. Who's got a baseball topic before we bring on John Baylor, the voice of the Huskers. Oh, you need
Yeah,
Clayton,
I was going to point that out during break. It's fine.
Clayton, I'm going to do a call with you. Clayton, what do you got?
All right. First of all, good morning.
Good morning, Clayton.
Secondly, I would sure as hell rather be a Cubs fan than a Boston Red Sox fan.
I agree with
And
you.
I sure as hell would rather. And the Cubs have won more series than the Boston Red Sox, and the Chicago Cubs are winning without Kyle Tucker. And you know what? In the AL East, the Boston Red Sox suck. Have a great day.
Thank you, Clayton. That was interesting. Was that are we doing a big rocks overreaction? Is that what that was?
Maybe.
Which, by the way, the Red Sox are currently, for those who may not follow baseball, they've lost 3 in a row, which is what Clayton is alluding to. But they're still 9 games above 500 and 5 games back of their division title and in the wild card spot. So they're not as terrible as Clayton.
So they're like 5 games ahead in the wild card spot?
I think they're at 1 game ahead. They're 5 games behind of the East, behind the Blue Jays, who are having a really good year. So, hey, there's our baseball topic for the day. Screw the Royals. What a terrible, terrible collapse. That was awful. That was bad.
Hopefully it doesn't snowball for them. That's the worry.
It was actually supposed to do the opposite. They were supposed to keep winning games.
I know.
Hopefully, like, push themselves into the playoffs, and then they just absolutely fell apart. So, you know what? Royals are going to royal. Gary and Matt is going to Gary and Matt, or Gary and Mike. Matt and Mike.
North Dakota, South Dakota, Gary and Mike.
6:30 in the morning. John Baylor coming up next. We love our YouTube chat. They're the best. Shout out Sal. Shout out Tom. Shout out Chris, who are in the chat today. Typically, we got Headley who's in here. We got Captain who's in there. I love the YouTube chat as always. Schaefer, Sal has a question for you.
I saw this.
This is funny. Maybe Shave can make a connection for me. I'm from Hastings and played travel baseball. There was a Columbus Legion baseball coach who had the longest arms I've ever seen. They went to his ankles.
So I like, is there a time period that you can throw in here? Because that would help me out. Because I feel like I'd have a pretty good clue if it was any time in the last, I couldn't say recently, but certainly like 2012 to 2000. I think I know all three of the coaches then. But it's also, like, was it the senior team or was it something
He said
else?
he graduated 06.
Okay, so that would have been the same year that I graduated. So,
Oh, Lord.
my Legion coach was a guy named Bob Dearman who wore his pants higher than any human has ever worn their
There
pants.
you go.
So
Okay.
it might have made his arms seem longer.
Do you think that was the
by that.
strategy?
I don't know what the strategy was. He was a fascinating individual who was the former principal at Columbus High for years and years and years. Retired baseball man through and through. Coach baseball, was my pitching coach most of my high school career, and then was also the senior Legion coach my 2 years on Legion as well.
So here's what I love about this question. The fact that Sal has been stewing on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hope that this is the answer that I
for
can
what
give
has
him.
now been 20 years. The fact that Sal saw a Legion baseball coach in 2005 and just identified his long limbs that we now know is an optical illusion. And his entire, since then, has just been thinking, who the hell is this guy? And what is his name?
Again,
and I need to know.
If he's talking seniors, it would 100% be Bob Dearman, who was I guess he would use the word mensch if he was going to describe it.
God, that is the mensch is one of
the man spoke like 5 languages.
God.
He swore at umpires in German. He is absolutely tremendous.
Did he play instruments as well?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did. I mean, he would listen to opera music on his drives to and from games when we would travel. If you were ever riding with him, which was not by choice, he didn't want players riding with him, but sometimes they had to.
Sure,
you would be subjected to opera music. Like I said, he was my pitching coach forever. Just a tremendous man, a huge Mets fan.
Bob Dearman.
We lost him
rest in peace.
Probably 6-7 years ago, I think, at this time.
He sounds like a true Renaissance man.
Oh, he was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Like an incredible human.
Maybe one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. How he ended up
not John Butler?
Living in how he ended up, he was a New York City native, and he ends up going to New Mexico to study archaeology.
Oh my God.
Gets into education, becomes a teacher and a principal in Wyoming, and then ends up in Columbus, Nebraska after that. Yeah. But he's just, he could insult you in ways that you didn't even know that you were being insulted.
Sure.
Just an incredible person.
I always love those type of people. Talking about incredible people who accomplish great things. Did you see history happen yesterday in the NFL?
I saw Harrison Phillips got traded, and I'm not happy about that.
Well, first
that's
off,
history for me.
First off, I don't know why the hell yesterday turned into a de facto trade deadline.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Is there a big cut down coming here?
So yes, in 6 days the cut down will be here. So now 5 days the cut down will be here. So I think that teams are getting to the point where it's like, okay, we suffered injuries and we don't trust like the practice squad depth that we have. We're going to go ahead. We're going to make some moves. I think Aaron Glenn straight up is just not happy with his defensive line because they added 2 different dudes.
Sure, yeah.
I think he just honestly probably not even that.
Well, look at what he had at the Lions.
Well, Oh, great point. I mean, he had incredible lines at the Lions.
But they had guys coming off the street playing defensive back.
I know.
And they were still pretty good defensively at the end of last year.
I think, though, it is kind of telling when you bring in two different dudes. It's more to me, it was more than just like a depth trade as it was about like, we just don't like the people we have and we just want to bring in new people that.
Well, they're going to love Harrison Phillips.
Are you guys good at DT? Are you?
Apparently, the Vikings are so enamored with what they have, in addition to the two guys they signed in the offseason, that someone that they signed to a contract extension before 2024, there's a Minnesota Man of the Year that is maybe one of the most loved players in the locker room and in the community.
Yeah.
And they just traded him for a 6th-round pick, which Kwesi hasn't hit on in any of his drafts so far.
Well,
so it might as well just be lighting it on fire. I understand you can save some future money against the cap. So I get that. It's more going to be, do they reinvest what they saved, the $3.7 million, into a wide receiver, into a cornerback, or did you literally just trade one of your locker room stalwarts for a 6th-round pick because you are so obsessed with draft capital, despite the fact that you have drafted 2 usable players in 3 drafts?
Well, I think they're also too. This, in a way, is kind of the bill coming due for their over-aggression within the drafts and getting rid of so many picks and trading up.
Could be.
Whatnot.
I mean,
Well, here's why. Here's why I say, in my opinion, and I think in your opinion too, trading players that you could use, regardless of just how consistently just because you use a guy 20 snaps in week 1 does not mean you're going to use him 20 snaps in week 12.
Sure.
Okay. And even if you weren't going to play Harrison Phillips all that much, there's a chance that one of those defensive tackles gets hurt, and then you have a very usable, very like just good, just straight up good defensive tackle in Harrison Phillips that you could trust in later in the season. I just never understood, especially this close to the beginning of the year, trading any sort of player for draft capital. I've never.
Like I said, I think it's a salary thing so they can clear the book a little bit to do something else. Now, if there's a corresponding move, if all that happens out of this is they got a 6th-round pick, it better work out.
Well,
and I'm not worried about what so much on the field as like the guy meant a lot to that team.
I know.
That's
a great point.
It sucks. And then he's a great dude. It's fun to root for good people.
I think though too, like if you look at the 3 other trades, Sky Moore goes to the 49ers and kind of a 6-for-7 swap. It makes sense for the 49ers. I think that Sky Moore definitely could be. Sky Moore is one of those wide receivers that since the 49ers have lost Debo, they don't really have that type of just straight up speedster, straight line guy. And where Ayuk and Juwan Jennings are more so,
Ayuk's injured.
Yeah, Ayuk is injured and Juwan Jennings is holding in. And so they just need, and the 49ers have just gotten ransacked in terms of injuries during training camp to begin with. But I do think Sky Moore is, it's funny when you put a guy with Kyle Shanahan, you immediately think, oh, he's going to be better. But at the same time, it's not like Sky Moore was with Greg McDonald. He was with, Andy Reid. So I don't know if you can expect that big of a jump. But the Chiefs have a lot of very sneakily, the Chiefs have a pretty damn good wide receiver room right now when they're all healthy and they're all not suspended. And so that makes sense. The Broncos trading Devon Vale to the Saints, like apparently Pat Bryant, the draft pick from Illinois, is absolutely killing it right now. So that makes sense. Like, and from the Browns' perspective, like trading a guy like Briggs, they're bad. Like the Browns are just bad. They just need draft picks. If you have an opportunity to get more capital to help yourself in the future, you do it. I think the Vikings trade is the one where is the most head scratching one.
Yeah, there has to be a corresponding move. And I get, again, they used money to sign 2 other defensive linemen. They like their young guys. I get all of that. But if you were going to upset the apple cart, and I'm not saying Harrison Phillips is a missing piece to anything, but at the same time, when you're all about culture and that's all Kevin O'Connell talks about, and you want these guys in your community and in the locker room, and he started every game for you the last 2 years.
I know.
And you could rely on him whether he was banged up or not. And I'm sure Pro Football Focus didn't have the highest numbers on him, but he was right there as a league average defensive lineman. Those are valuable, especially in a system where, you're going to get your value elsewhere defensively. So That one, I didn't even realize it had happened until hours after
Oh
the
God,
fact.
neither did I.
And then I was just like straight offended by it. And now I'm just sort of assuming I'm going to rage listen to some Vikings content today. Because it even felt like the way that it was covered in the media yesterday was almost like an afterthought. Like maybe I missed this, that this move was coming either way. But I don't know.
Let me look here.
My guy Kevin Seifert didn't give me much in the way of vibes on the whole thing. Just that they like their young defensive lineman.
Here we go. Harrison Phillips. Let's go defensive grade chart. So last season, his defensive grade was 60.
League average is 60.
Yes. Now the year before, he was at 85.6.
Yeah.
And the year before that, he was 90.1. So he's a guy that you could say maybe from a PFF perspective, if you were the Vikings, that maybe he's taken a step back and maybe they went to training camp.
Or you could argue that was there enough around him that, or he was asked to do more than he possibly could.
That's
because
a good
they
point.
were weak interior wise.
Yep.
Which is why they spent $60 million on two other 30-year-olds in free agents.
In 2021, when he was with the Bills and he had a 90, I mean, that Bills defensive line.
Yeah, is that Oliver? I don't know if Epinesa was on the team yet at that point.
And then your 85.6, which happened in 2022, actually, was Daniil Hunter still on that team, or was he out at that point?
For Phillips?
Well, was he on the Vikings in 2022?
Yeah.
So there you go. You have Daniil Hunter. You know,
he was on the Vikings in 23 as well.
Okay, so that's kind of to your point. It's like you kind of take less. You
and
have
it's
less
Brian Flores, so it's a different defensive system.
And that's another thing too, where that's a very good point. So it's overall just interesting what happened yesterday. I mean, teams clearly showing up and showing you where they feel good and where they don't feel good. And I think it's an indication of, like, the Broncos clearly feel good about their wide receiver room. The Chiefs clearly feel good about their wideouts.
Broncos have a loaded wide receiver room.
They got a really good wide receiver. So, and it's one of those things too. I'm not a Bo Nix guy. I'm not a Bo Nix guy the same way I'm not a Brock Purdy guy. I don't believe in.
Those are wildly different quarterbacks for me, but I think I understand what you're saying. Well,
they are
products of their head coach.
Yes. And I don't believe in the fact that it's like, whoa, they're so good because, he's paired up with Peyton and he's paired up with Shanahan, and, he may not be elite and he may not have the mobility and he may not have the arm strength and he may not have the improvisation, but, when Sean Payton tells him to do this, he's going to do this. And when Shanahan tells him to do this, he's going to do this. And it's like, okay, I get it. That's fine. But I would prefer to have a quarterback that does have an elite arm, that does have elite athleticism, that can improvise, that can get out of the pocket. And so, I don't
know if Bo Nix doesn't have something. Purdy, I would agree with just about everything you said.
I think Bo Nix is look, there's a reason why Bo Nix was taken in the first round and Brock Purdy was taken in the seventh
I was
round.
talking to Parker Gabriel over the weekend about something else entirely. And we started talking about Sean Payton, and Parker Gabriel, who covered Nebraska, now covers the Broncos. And he was basically just saying, like, Sean Payton's given interviews where he's more or less said, like, if he had the third pick in that draft, he was taking Bo Nix either way.
Well, look,
and that was, and the weird thing about it is I kind of believe him, because Sean Payton is
a psycho.
He is who he is. Like, he's unapologetically Sean Payton.
And I'm not, and I do want to say this. I believe what I believe with Purdy. Okay, I do. I wouldn't have paid him. To be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't have paid him. But with Nix,
he's Raising Cane's chicken. Have you heard my analogy on this?
Oh, please.
So he is the chicken in the Raising Cane's combo, where everything else in the Raising Cane's box is actually what's better than the chicken. The sauce is better. The toast is better. The fries are better when they're cooked crispy anyways. Like, if you get them in there.
The
coleslaw is not better. Coleslaw is not better than anything.
Yeah.
Coleslaw is Kyle Juice Check or whatever. But, the rest of it is or was Kittle, Samuel.
Yes.
McCaffrey. Purdy is the chicken. The chicken is the least appealing part of Raising Cane.
I don't.
Ayuk is a lemonade.
Such a good, and Shanahan is like the Dr. Pepper you mix.
Shanahan's the guy serving it to you because they're relatively fast.
They're really fast. Here, I wish we did another. The only reason I'll push back against it is I still love Raising Cane's chicken.
Yeah, it's fine, but it works if you ate it by itself without the rest of it, if you took all of it away.
Oh, it is substantially worse.
And you took it all away last
Substantially
year.
worse.
The 49ers were worse. Purdy was worse. Suddenly he wasn't amazing in QBR, which I think is somewhat of a flawed statistic.
I would compare the 49ers to a cheesecake factory and
the menu.
Just the menu and how many options that are on that menu. And I would compare Brock Purdy to any sort of Mexican style dish on that cheesecake factory menu.
The Headley Lamar in the YouTube comments does not like the fries.
The fries are Headley's correct. You can get a bad batch of fries.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
You can get like a really droopy.
If you eat there in person, the problem is Cane's doesn't transfer that well. So you're taking it home.
Oh, the residue and the moisture, totally ruined.
I have become the type of person that if think it's going to be subpar fries, I will just throw it in the air fryer for a couple minutes.
See, that's such a
and then re-crisp it up, and then it's great again.
The air fryer has completely changed my life when it comes to reheating pizza.
Yeah, I started doing that myself.
It is, and so how I reheat pizza is I actually do it in a pan. I get the bottom real crispy, but then it was always tough getting the top part crispy. Now when I put it in the pan and I get that little char in the bottom,
you put a pan in the air fryer?
No. I put a pan on a stove.
Gotcha.
Put the pizza on the pan. Then I transfer pan to air fryer, and then you get the top crispy part. Oh God, it's incredible. Anybody who says cold pizza is better than hot pizza, you're wrong.
Well, I agree with that.
You're wrong.
I tend to just go with the oven because it's just the easiest. It's simple. You throw it in at 350 for depending on the type of crust.
Yeah, the oven's like a good nose tackle. You know,
the microwave is the worst to me. It just makes it soggy. It's the last resort option to have.
No, I will never. No, you never do pizza in a microwave.
It's if you have no other options.
But back to Bo Nix real quick. I think that Bo Nix has way more potential than Brock Purdy, and I've seen a lot of good things out of Bo Nix. But I think we get very enamored by him when I know that he won't be Pat Mahomes, that he won't be Josh Allen, that he's not Lamar Jackson, that he's not Joe Burrow. I don't see him in that light. I don't look at Bo Nix and think that. I think Bo Nix can win playoff games. Hell, Brock Purdy got to a Super Bowl, right? Like, I'm not denying that.
Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl.
Well, I think pretty highly of Jalen Hurts.
I do not.
But my thing about Jalen is that we make a lot of these, I don't want to say excuses, but Patrick Mahomes statistically has been a much worse quarterback over the last couple of years than he was during his first couple of years.
Is there not like a very obvious reason for that?
There are very obvious reasons for it, okay? But we go ahead and we say, when we talk about Patrick, we say, look, if they wanted to, they could probably let him loose and he could have better stats and he could play closer to what he was in 19 and 20. But he doesn't because he plays within the style of the team, and within the style of that team, which has been incredible on the defensive end, they win games. And when they're down late or they need a score and they kind of do let him loose, he goes ahead and he scores and he gets this stuff done. I think you need to use kind of the same logic in a way for Jalen Hurts.
Except he plays with a better receiving core, a better offensive line, and a better running back.
No. I'm not
every single one of them. And I am not a Chiefs person.
But what I'm telling you, though, is that if we're going to use that line of thinking for Mahomes as to why maybe he's not as statistically as great as he can be, I think it's only fair we say, well, the style of the Eagles became, we're going to give this ball to Saquon Barkley, okay? And if it's up to us, we're going to give it to Saquon over and over and over again, and we're going to use the run game as a weapon, and we have this great defensive line that does get tired, and so the more time that we can put them on the sideline and let them rest up, that's how we're going to play. And then, hey, we'll throw the occasional deep shot to Smith or Brown or whomever it may be, and he hits them. And so it's like, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is top 4, you know. I'm not saying he's on the level of those guys. But if we're just going off of, man, he won a Super Bowl and he did exactly what he needed to do to lead the Eagles to where they wanted to go, I'm going to give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take credit away from him. I'm just trying to say it's a very different style when you have
it's very different.
Everything around you is
it's very different. It's very, very different. It's very different. But
So what I guess I'm saying is I think Bo Nix can easily be Jalen Hurts. If everything else around him is great, why couldn't he also be a Super Bowl winning quarterback?
I don't know. I like Jalen more.
I mean, that's fine. I don't know that you have a reason not to at this point in time. I'm just saying, like, if you take away,
you're not wrong, but I do think, and maybe I'm more so basing it off of what I saw in his first couple of years in Philadelphia and Oklahoma. But Jalen Hurts definitely a better athlete than Bo Nix.
yeah, that might be true. Is Jalen Hurts going to be able to play football longer than Bo Nix? Is Jalen Hurts going to be out off of the field more than Bo Nix?
Probably, which is why I think they didn't do as much of the run stuff this year as they did last year.
So which means is Jalen Hurts going to age gracefully?
I think Jalen Hurts, though, already showed that he aged gracefully with the fact that he came off of that knee injury from 2023 and then in 2024 ended up winning the Super Bowl and ended up leading his team to a Super Bowl. I think he's already shown that, hey, this is the adaptation and I did age gracefully because I won.
Because everything else around him was great.
Because
they literally were gifted the best running back in the NFL.
Wait. There's way more to, hey, everything around him is great because everything around him is great. But at the same time, he still did execute.
Right.
He did execute.
He has to play his role
and
too.
when they didn't have Saquon, they still made it to a Super Bowl, and he still was an incredible thrower. And he
was still one of the best rosters in the NFL.
Yes, but in the Super Bowl, he had one of the best Super Bowl performances by a losing player of all time.
Okay.
And so when you put Saquon in the backfield and you get to hand the ball off more to him, yeah, your numbers and your optics are going to take a dip.
Yeah. This whole thing started with you comparing Mahomes.
I'm not comparing. I am not comparing.
I'm just saying there's
to Hurts.
No.
I was saying that we give a lot of slack to Mahomes and maybe some of the things that he doesn't accomplish anymore because of the style of play and the things that he has around.
I think it has more to do with what's around him.
All right, we got to go to break. John Baylor's coming up at 7:10. No, I'm not. No, I think we're going in circles here because
that's fine.
They're doing very similar things, but on the opposite sides, if that makes sense. What Jalen Hurts is being asked to do is for a very different reason as to why Mahomes is being asked to do it.
I'm saying if you put Jalen Hurts on the Chiefs last year, they're not going to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's just one of those hypotheticals where I don't know if I agree or disagree with that because I don't think Jalen Hurts has ever been asked to play that style of football ever.
To have to carry the team with nothing else around.
No, that where you are more so looking for shorter routes and being more surgical, and then you're
in the absence of the other pieces.
No, I know. I'm aware. I'm just saying I don't know if you can. I'm not going to play the game of if you took this guy and you put him on here. Oh, would they have won the Super Bowl? I don't know. I really don't know. It's a hypothetical.
But you're playing the game that Mahomes doesn't deserve as much credit or gets too much credit or too much slack.
I'm not saying anything about Mahomes other than we go ahead and we look at Jalen Hurts and we go, oh my God, he's not that good, even though he just won the Super Bowl, even though he's got Saquon Barkley behind him, who had one of the best running back seasons of all time. The reason why he plays the way he plays is because it's better for the team, because this guy looks like God dang Bernie Sanders out there. They're going to hand the ball off, and yes, he's not asked to do as much. Hey, Hurts isn't asked to do as much because of the pieces around him. Mahomes isn't asked to do as much also because of the pieces around him. They're just for very different reasons.
I would argue Mahomes is asked to do more. Because of the lack of pieces around.
But we are taking off.
And I'm thinking that's being added into the context of judging.
But we are taking off what we have of our expectations of Patrick Mahomes because of his circumstances. And I'm just saying the circumstance of having Saquon Barkley, who was absolutely incredible last year, we have not done. And I'm not saying we have to do it at the same rate, but I'm saying we haven't done it at all with Jalen Hurts. And we haven't given him enough credit, in my opinion, for what he did last season. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I'm not saying Hurts is going to, if he was on the Chiefs, they would have won the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Hurts is better than Mahomes. I'm not saying swap their positions or anything like that. I'm just saying we look at Mahomes and we cut him some slack because of his situation, because of what he's asked to do. I think that Jalen Hurts, to a certain extent, should get the same thing because he is asked to be limited because of the things that he has around him. When Jalen Hurts in his career has gone ahead and let that ball go and has thrown that ball. And yes, he's had Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, but he still hit those passes. He still used those weapons, and he still led him to a Super Bowl. So that's my point.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, and probably should have won it if he didn't fumble, which was completely his fault. All right, John Baylor is supposed to come on at 6:35. He's going to come on next here on Gary and Matt. It is Red Out Week, and so we bring on an incredibly special guest, the voice of the Nebraska volleyball team, who made the Final Four last season, made the national championship game the year before, and with Danny Busboom Kelly is looking to capture that elusive national championship that this incredible group of athletes wants so badly. It is the voice of the Huskers, Mr. John Baylor. John, thanks for coming on, my friend.
Gentlemen, good morning. Boy, if my role is to manage expectations, you're going to make it tough. I mean, only at Nebraska, the preseason, all everyone's talking about national championships and how talented they are. All is true, but boy, that's a tough way for a new coach to start. Everyone's so hungry right now to see this team play and to see how really good they are. But it's an exciting time. It's definitely exciting. I got 10 teams to play this tournament this weekend.
John, you've been around for so long, and you've seen it all. And I just have to ask, and I'm dying to ask you this honestly, how has just from your point of view, the transition been from from John Cook to Danny Busboom Kelly, and how have you seen Coach Busboom Kelly, take this role and then now kind of grow into the role a little bit as we head into her first regular season?
Well, we really don't know because we haven't been in practices, but 0 players left. Yeah. So Mary Wise just left after a legendary career at Florida, and Kennedy Martin, their best player, left. They also lost an outside who transferred to UCLA. They probably lost other players as well, as they brought in a new head coach who used to be the head coach at Marquette. So when a legend leaves, usually you get defections. All 17 players are still here, so there's that. Secondly, you've got a coach who, in 8 years at Louisville, won 82% of her matches, and in the last 4 years, 89% of her matches. And this is a young woman who grew up in Cortland, Nebraska, about 20 miles south of Lincoln, was a Husker playing legend. So she just checks a ton of boxes. I mean, she's been to 3 of the last 4 Final Fours, got to 2 championship matches. So she seems to be a perfect fit. She also kept the entire coaching staff. I mean, Jordan Larson did leave before John Cook left, but she kept her top 2 assistants, and Jalen Reyes and Kelly Hunter Natter. So it just seems like it has been extremely smooth, and everyone's smiling. The chemistry again seems to be great, and this seems to be year 10 of what I like to call the golden era of Nebraska volleyball. Excuse me, we're starting year 11. The last 10 years since Michaela Fecke arrived, 7 Final Fours.
Hey, John, you've had a chance to watch a Danny Busboom Kelly team up close a few times. What do you think the biggest difference Nebraska fans are going to see on the court from a Danny Busboom Kelly team versus what we've seen from John Cook all these years?
Well, I don't think she's going to be wearing belt buckles or cowboy shirts on the sidelines. That's one thing you'll probably pick up. The other is
That's fair.
She really likes to run the middle. I mean, every head coach in volleyball says we're going to run the middle. But she basically in practice likes to tell them. I don't know if these are her exact words, but let's just say there is a inclination now to force the middle, which is really exciting because if you can set the middle or set the right side, it's a much shorter set. Everything happens much faster. Your attack percentage is going to go way up. You're going to score more points. Well, they're doing that now. Even if the pass isn't perfect or the dig's not perfect. So there's that. The sets to the outside even just seem a little faster. I mean, Nebraska historically in volleyball just has big, imposing players and will run kind of a more conventional offense and just challenge you to stop them. I mean, you kind of know what's happening and not a lot of movement necessarily, whereas she's moving players around, running crisscrosses, and a lot of attacks in the middle. So things just happen offensively a little faster. As far as defensively, you've got great floor defenders again. I mean, that's one thing I noticed in the red-white and then in a scrimmage and practice I watched. These elite offensive Husker players are just having a tough time scoring points against their teammates on the other side. So I think, last year we finished 11th in the country in offense, 6th in defense. I think we might even do better defensively again this year.
John, if I told you that a 2-time second-team All-American and a 2-time Big Ten Setter of the Year was going to have to come in this preseason and compete for their job, and I'm talking about Bergen Riley, you would have said what?
No chance.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Izzy Stark over at Penn State. I mean, she she led a team to a national championship, but there's no chance that she's going to have competition probably for the next 3 years at that program. And that's a program that's constantly bringing in transfers. I mean, this is a true freshman, Campbell Flynn, and she's the reigning Gatorade National Player of the Year, top high school athlete in the country, according to one ranking service. And she looks really good, guys. I mean, she's listed as what, 6'3".
6'3", yeah.
She's probably a legit 6'2", and she's broad-shouldered. She's a really good block. She's a lefty, so she was born well, because if you're going to be a setter, you want to be a lefty, because then on that second attack, the defense has to honor you as an attacker, because you always can rise up and just use your strong arm and just whack it down as an attacker on the second contact. So she's precocious beyond her years. She looks really impressive. She up at Ord High School. I think that's the gateway to the Sandhills. It's beautiful up there. She basically set that entire match. Bergen wasn't feeling well, and it was impressive against South Dakota State. So I think as a pair, it's fair to say we got the best two setters in the country. And then in Bergen, in the last 2 years, she's already proven she's one of the top setters in the country.
Hey, John, you've been around it a long time. You have watched Nebraska have to reload after great players leave because it's college athletics. They can't stick around forever. Lexi Rodriguez is one of the best players in Nebraska's history. And yet, doesn't it feel like the Huskers are better equipped than even possibly imaginable to replace someone who was one of the best at her position that we've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean, when Lexi was here for all 4 years, I would tell the fans, do what I cannot. Just watch her. Don't watch the ball. Just watch her, because you rarely see someone so capable of anticipating. She was not a terrific athlete. She was an amazing volleyball player. She just knew where the ball was. And she's probably one of 3 favorites to be on the next U.S. Olympic team. But in Lainey Choboy, you have someone who had committed to Minnesota. Hugh McCutcheon, their former Olympic team and head coach, surprised everyone and retired. So she was suddenly available. And she chose a program where she knew she'd have to watch the starting libero 2 more years. And thus, Lainey's only been playing 3 rotations for her first 2 years, whereas at an elite program like Minnesota, she could have been the starting libero all 4 years. So another example of just somebody who just puts team first beyond probably her personal dreams. And she's ready. I mean, she's really athletic, but she's had moments in her career thus far when her passing, that first contact when the serve comes over, hasn't been perfect. And in Olivia Mauk, the pride of Bennington, Nebraska, you've got somebody who's an amazing passer. So they really are a study in contrast. One, the super athletic one who's a great digger, who can chase down volleyballs in the third row. Olivia Mauk, the quieter one, calmer, and you want that in a passer. You don't want a lot of muscle. You don't want a lot of moving parts. You want that ball right where the setter wants it. Anyway, another happy, difficult decision for Danny Bussom-Kelly. It looks like Lainey's going to get the start at the beginning of the season, and then Olivia is going to be playing 3 rotations. But again, the back row looks very deep.
Is the National Player of the Year on Nebraska's roster this year John Baylor?
Probably not.
Okay.
Because we're not a one-woman team. We're a collection of parts. I remember in '95, the phrase was synergy, which means, of course, that you're better than the collection of your parts, or a better team than each of your individuals would suggest. We have elite talent, and Andy Jackson on another team, first of all, may not even play middle. I mean, she's a generational talent. She can touch almost 11 feet. She can dunk a volleyball easily. But she's playing middle, so she may not get enough swings and put up big enough numbers to justify National Player of the Year. I think it's going to be tough. I think the Huskers would have to run the table, lose at most once, win a national championship, and they would choose the best player of the team. But, Olivia Babcock's coming in for Pittsburgh tomorrow. And last year she had 4.7 kills a set. Well, they lose All-American Tori Stafford. She might get 5.7 kills a set this year. She might be a 2-time National Player of the Year, because no one in Nebraska is going to get more than 3.5 kills a set, because the setters just have so many more offensive weapons.
One of the awesome things about college volleyball, all the best teams play each other. We don't see that enough in other sports. Is there a matchup that Nebraska has upcoming this season you are more excited about than maybe others?
Well, I'm trying to get fired up for the Iowa match, but they've lost to us 36 times in a row, and I think they've only won 4 sets. So that one may not be as challenging as it could be. But, hey, Iowa's a hotbed of youth volleyball, so it's just a matter of time before they get that thing rolling. But Penn State. I mean, Penn State beat Nebraska twice last year, and they're the reigning national championship. The reigning national champion. And the Big Ten coaches decided, oh, no, not Penn State. Nebraska is the preseason pick to win the conference. Then the AVCA national coaches said, no. Penn State's not number one starting the year. Nebraska's number one. And Penn State signed the number one transfer in the country, Kennedy Marshall, who averaged 4.5 kills a set on the right side a year ago for Florida. Yeah, they're motivated. They're probably a little ticked off because they're not getting the respect preseason they should. And Nebraska gets to play them twice. Nebraska only gets to play 3 Big Ten teams twice this year in the conference. One of them is Penn State. One of them's in October out there, and then Black Friday, the night after Thanksgiving, here in at the Devaney. Yeah, those are the matches to watch.
John, we'll leave you on this one. I thank you so much, first off, coming on the show. But tomorrow, Nebraska volleyball takes on Pitt to begin their season. Let's talk about the Pitt Panthers. What should we expect in this match? It's going to be absolutely awesome. What are your what's the outlook for it?
Well, they're a bit of an unknown. They've got Olivia Babcock back, but she was only one of 3 first-team All-Americans a year ago. Rachel Fairbanks has graduated, and Tori Stafford has gone to Texas. And Texas is really, the other team along with Penn State and Nebraska, I think, are at the very top as we begin the season. There's probably a collection of 6 teams right behind them that have a belief they can win the national championship, and 4 of them are in the ACC. So they've got a brand new setter transfer, 3-year starter from Illinois, and Brooke Mosher. They've got Bree Kelly. She's returning second-team All-American middle. But then the rest is kind of uncertain. They've got a new transfer, Libero, who's solid out of Florida State. So they're still getting to know each other. A lot of those players are still trying to figure out where the campus library is out there in Pittsburgh. So they're an unfinished product. So is Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska's got 8 new players, 9 returning players, 8 new ones. But look, when you start with Olivia Babcock, when you've been to 4 consecutive Final Fours, when you have one of the best coaches in the country in Dan Fisher, it's opening night. You got 15,500 screaming Husker fans at the Pinnacle Bank Arena in downtown Lincoln. It's something special, and you're motivated. And they're going to try to ruin the party tomorrow.
John, thank you so much for everything you do. Really appreciate it. We look forward to hearing you on the airwaves, and good luck this season. And hopefully we'll talk to you down the road previewing a game in Kansas City.
I share those hopes. Take care, guys. Happy
See you,
Friday.
JP. Appreciate it. John Baylor, voice of the Nebraska Cornhusker volleyball team, who begins their season tomorrow. Coming up next here on Gary and Matt, we ask a special question for Red Out Week.
When replacing your roof, entrusted to the MVPs in Omaha, Moose Roofing. Pat and the crew, they've been around since 1996. They've done over 15,000 roofs. They're local. They're here before the storm. They're here during the storm. They're here after the storm. And they're going to provide you a peace of mind in protecting your most valuable asset, which is your home. Now, Moose Roofing, what makes them different is their highly durable lifetime roofing solutions. They've got ventilation expertise and excellent service. The big thing they do, and it's a huge customer service thing, not only do they make sure the job is done properly, that the site looks great, but they're going to help you navigate the ever-increasingly difficult insurance process. They are locally owned. They've got a top-notch reputation. Just ask anybody that has had Moose Roofing work with them. Contact them today. Storm season's coming up. You don't want to be caught short-handed. Go with the best. It's Moose Roofing. Contact them today. Online at mooseroofing.com. That's mooseroofing.com.
Smells like teen spirit. Smells like football season, if you will. Had to get a lot of the endorphins out. I was sweating during our Jalen Hurts expectations debate.
Is it because you were wearing a sweater, not so much the debate?
Yes, exactly. I just sweat profusely in general.
I could not believe when you opened the door to let me into the beautiful building here on Dodge that you were wearing a sweat. It's like going to be 147.
Yeah, but I have to explain this to you like I had to explain to Happer. I wear like 4 pairs of clothes in a day. Like I wear this.
You have your morning outfit?
This is my morning outfit. I will
Nice.
go home and I will immediately just change into shorts and a t-shirt. Okay, just immediately get.
I once did radio with a guy who had 4 outfits that he owned.
Really?
Yeah.
I have too many clothes. I'm spoiled.
Yeah, no, I'm more in the too many clothes category, but
why only just
ask Capper about him when he gets here in the morning. He had literally 4 shirts on rotation and a couple pairs of shorts.
Some people just, that's a great way to save money if we're being honest.
Yeah, no, I think it was a he didn't believe in having possessions type thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Just different strokes
Again,
for
ask Capper.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess. I'm not that way. I'm probably too materialistic, for being honest. But I go ahead and I immediately turn into shorts and t-shirt. Then if it's a day that I work out, I'll go and I'll work out, and then I have to take those clothes off.
Oh yeah.
And then I put another set of clothes on, and then I put pajamas on.
Do you have literal pajamas?
Yes.
Like the flannel pants
Yes.
and the top?
I have 2 flannel pants and 4 Christmas.
So they're
photos.
only Christmas based?
I have an abominable snowman. I have penguins. I have reindeers, and I have like Santa Claus. And then I have red flannel and blue and yellow flannel.
You'd see commercials or TV shows or movies with people wearing pajama pants, and I didn't think that it was a real thing.
No, I wear pajama pants every day.
Blown away by
but
this.
it's not as if I need to have. It's not like a whole. My legs need to be warm when I go to bed. It's really
your sleeping outfit.
No, not really. It kind of marks the end of the day for me.
Okay.
When I put my pajama pants on, it's kind of like a deep breath, if you will, and it's like, okay, we're getting to bed. We're getting to the point.
So if the pajama pants are going on, you're never leaving the house.
Oh God, no. If the pajama pants are on the day, we are not, day's over.
What if so you're in an apartment complex. What if the fire alarm goes off? Would you change out of the pajama pants?
This has happened when I've lived in a different apartment. No.
Okay. So they have seen the outside light of day.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there have been moments where I've woken up and I have them on, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the grocery store, and I just go to the grocery store in pajama pants. But that's very much like a Gen Z type deal.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I think there are just a lot more people, like the quota of people who wear pajama pants outside of their house has gone up significantly since I was a child.
Sure, but I think it's not all that different than the quota of people who just wear sweatpants everywhere.
Well, I literally only wear sweatpants.
Yeah, so there you go.
Like I wear sweatpants.
You're not wearing sweatpants currently.
No, these are. What would you call?
Actually, they are.
Yeah, they're sweatpants.
I just assumed that they were like dress pants for some reason.
Hell no.
You have a sweater on.
No, the sweater is it just felt like a sweater day. Just kind of one of those things. You've never had that before?
Feels like you're in the Sahara Desert. Sweater day.
Currently, right now, no, it's fine. We're not broadcasting.
Well, yeah, this is a very good AC unit. I will give credit to 1620 studio.
1620, the engineers.
There's not a lot that works in the 1620 studio, as I have learned. No, I feel like I've been here.
The microphones work.
In the 14 years that I've basically been in the studio filling in or whatever else, I've seen pretty much everything break. To the point where the computer broke that I had to drive in the other week. So, the fact that this has been replaced, whatever, I don't know, the instrument that you would call it.
A box.
Yeah. The box, the headphone
sound box.
That didn't work for years. You had to find just the perfect spot that you would plug in the headphone jack and then turn it just slightly so then the sound would come into one ear.
It was incredible. We were in a meeting and Gary, a lot of people had asked before Gary had asked, but Gary had asked us, we need a new box. And literally the next day there was a new box.
I've seen them replace chairs before they replace the box.
I know, but they've replaced the box, and now it works perfectly fine. Works
Yeah,
great.
no, it's
Good
good.
box.
Just saying, the AC has been trucking along that
Oh,
entire
it's been
time.
great. And no, when I first got here, it wasn't like that, and I think they did something, and now it's been absolutely.
Oh,
incredible.
really?
Oh,
It had a down moment.
it had a down moment, but now it
I was unaware.
It fires at all cylinders over there at times. Here's the thing. During the College World Series, when we were broadcasting outside in 100-degree weather, you bet your ass I was in shorts and a t-shirt.
You weren't wearing a sweater at that.
No, God no. But when
You
I
didn't just come over wearing your CWS sweater.
no, I wore that once.
You have a CWS sweater?
I have a CWS polo.
Oh, well, I wore that polo. They had
Did you?
extras. They gave me one.
I had a boy.
Yeah,
Like this year's polo.
I wore it to the show. I did a couple. I think Jacob was in.
Oh, was
for
that the one that
Yes,
you
you did wear it.
Did you come in for me that show?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. I forgot I got a day off. That was that week. That week was something. People asked me how that week was. I was like, I was just perpetually tired. I was just consistently tired. Red Out Week is our celebration of Husker football, Husker sports in general. And we are going to culminate all of that into Thursday. We will all be in Kansas City. Gary, myself, Connor, Josh, both Joshes actually, and John Bishop. We are going to have an incredible round table.
Jacob and I will be back here in Omaha.
I mean, no, I'm going to the game,
he's
Okay,
gone.
so
but
the-
not
Jacob will be
working.
in Kansas City.
I'm not working.
I'll be here in
It'll
Omaha.
be good.
You'll be listening from 4 to 7 p.m. for our
Sure.
round table, which
I'm
will
sure I will be.
take place between all of us, which will be an incredibly special moment leading up an hour right before the game. It'll be, I believe, at Coffin. And so that will be incredibly fun. But we are building up this Red Out Week to that moment, to that time where in Wednesday, we'll also be doing our shows from Kansas City as well. We're going to do, at least for today, we'll see if we do it tomorrow, but at least for today, we'll do a little special thing for Red Out Week. I'm going to pose a question, okay? And I would like you to go to the Equitable Bank inbox. You can email me at matt@1620thezone. Equitable Bank, they take banking personally, and they pick up on the first ring. And you can answer this question on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Matt McMedia, where you can give me an answer to this question. I want people, if you're in your car, if you're watching on YouTube, I want you to think about what was the moment you fell in love with Nebraska football? Do you have a moment where you were like, all right, I'm in it. This is it. Like, I ain't going back. Nothing's changing. This is my team, always and forever. I'm a Husker fan. Do you have a player or a play or a game, or maybe you just met Tom Osborne one day and you were like, that guy's a good lad. I'm going to be a coach. Tweet us your moment. Email us your moment you can email me at matt@1620thezone and at Matt McMedia on Twitter. So this is a weird question for me because I went to school at the University of Nebraska in probably the worst 4-year stretch that any student has ever faced in terms of both record and lack of postseason success.
Was it 17 to 21?
I was 20 to 24.
Oh, okay.
Or no.
Well,
20 to 23. 20, 21, 22, 23.
so basically 17 to 23 pretty much all got a similar vein of the same experience.
Yes. If you were a freshman in 2017, 2018, 2019, or 2020, you could claim if you were a freshman,
if you were a student in 2018, you got like the lead up to the Akron game, which is probably the pinnacle of your entire student experience.
Yeah.
Which is actually why I was talking to Parker Gabriel the other day, if it's a different story. And then everything else on either side of that was miserable.
I think 2017 might be worse.
If you were a student?
If you're a freshman in 2017, and I'll tell you why. Because in 2017, you get the bad Riley year. They're just terrible in 17. And that year you get to celebrate as a sophomore. Oh my God. Like Scott Frost is here. This is incredible. Like, this is going to turn around. You're reading the comic book, you're reading about how you're going to play Texas in 2023 and win a national championship. So the lead up to that game, big deal. Okay. Then you have the 2018 season. And then 2019, everybody was so excited about 2019. And if you were a student beginning in 2017, you turned 21 that year. And you could go to all the bars that you couldn't have gone to your freshman and sophomore year. So you truly got the full Husker football tailgate experience just for that to just fall apart and be also a bad season. And then 2020, you just got absolutely ransacked in terms of your senior year.
Yeah, if you think about it, if you were a student for 4 years that started in 2017, the last home game you would have saw as a student was watching Nebraska botch the 2019 game against Iowa.
Yeah.
In an incredible fashion. That was your last experience as a student in that stadium because of what would follow in 2020. I'd never thought about it like that. That's because I was going to push back a little bit because 2017, at least there was like hype coming into that, and then it fell out.
Yeah.
So you got to be excited coming off of 2016. But the way that it ends, where if you were a literal freshman 2017 and you would have graduated in 2020, not that many people go to school for 4 years anymore. It's usually more than that. But your last student experience would have been that 2019 Iowa game. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Now, here's I'll give an argument for my graduating class, though. Because our first season was COVID, and that's just a lost season. Just
2021?
2020 was my first season. That's just a lost season.
Yep.
Nobody
so
gives a
You're
damn.
out. You get
I'm
nothing.
Out. 2021, it's like, all right, make it or break it. Frost's year,
And
right?
it starts with a loss in Illinois.
Yeah. And then it turns into the holy crap, this is like the greatest 3-win team of all time. It was just so painful. It was so painful.
The apex of which would have been the 2021 home game against Michigan, where they debuted the fireworks, and it was one of the better games in the last
by far
half decade.
Now, I would say that would probably be the moment where I'm like, they got me.
It wasn't the Northwestern game the week before.
No. Here's why I would say it was a 2021 Michigan game, because I got so mad. I was so pissed. I was so angry that happened. That like the whole PI that wasn't PI, the disconcert, like they're clapping and the disconcerting signals penalty, and then Adrian should have been called for forward progress and he wasn't, and it was just the whole night got me so pissed off at the end where I'm like, I only really get mad about these things if I'm like fully in love with this. And so that was the moment for me. But then 2021 was just a brutal year of a bunch of heartbreak. 2022 basically doesn't count because you got Scott Frost for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you get Mickey Joseph. And then you bring in a guy in Matt Rule who you're told year three, and you're like, I ain't gonna be here in year 3. What do you mean year 3? I'm here for year 1, and that's like it. I'm gone. And that was that.
Yeah,
that's pretty brutal.
I think it's pretty bad.
It's a pretty brutal stretch. I'm hoping that the kids who begin this year don't know anything of that.
We need to get you set up with a 2017 freshman, and then you guys can make your argument at some sort of summit.
No, I would totally concede to the 2017 freshman.
I just think the fact that it would end with that Iowa game is not the trump card, but it's close to being the trump card.
Also, too, if you think of like 2017, like you finally turned 21 and you finally like really, because I really do think that the University of Nebraska, from a like enjoyment perspective and social life perspective, takes a complete 180 when you turn 21. And like those people who were freshmen in 2017 and 2018 really didn't get to fully experience that.
Sure.
And I feel really bad for them.
It occurs to me now that someone that started when you did would have gotten the same exact experience in 2023 with Nebraska inexplicably giving away a home game against Iowa at 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I guess it almost washes out there.
I guess. Well,
that was a pretty depressing segment start to
Red Out Week.
Not the Red Out Week, but to the question of like what made you love Nebraska, and then we just walked through like just 8 brutal years.
What I was alluding to,
maybe it should be why are you still here? Maybe that's the
I think
question.
I should be given a lot of credit, if I'm being honest. But I was alluding to mine is going to be very different than everybody else's because I have to find my love through a bunch of crap. A lot of people who might listen to the show have gotten to find their love through great moments.
I think it's always interesting to me when I talk to people about this sort of stuff, because when you're born into it, I don't know that there's a singular moment.
Sure.
Like I can remember watching Nebraska win the 94 national title and my dad just celebrating. We're all in my basement of one of the first house I ever lived in.
Yeah.
And, he picks me up and I hit my head on the ceiling and they're celebrating and I'm crying and whatever else. But I have that memory, but it's like it's so intuitive to like being in Nebraska that you're a fan of this team. I'm sometimes just fascinated by like, what's the first team that you ever like really fell in love with?
That's a good one
with
too.
Nebraska.
That's a good one.
And for me, it honestly was the first year that I didn't live in the state of Nebraska, and I was like all consumed by the 2006 Nebraska team. And so, they played a bonkers year. You probably know nothing about this team because it doesn't stand out. They didn't win a title. They lost in the
They
Big
were
12.
They were 9-4.
Yeah, they lost in the Big 12 championship game to an Oklahoma team that was starting a wide receiver at quarterback and ran one play. And Kevin Cosgrove couldn't figure out that one play. Maurice Purify fumbled on the opening kickoff in that game.
Dude, Josh Peterson loves Maurice Purify.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But Maurice Purify had the game-winning catch against Texas A&M in that year. It was Zach Taylor's senior year. My favorite football game that I've ever watched in person, not in a press box, was 2006 Texas versus Nebraska. Had just an unbelievable feel to the point there was snow coming down in October in the fourth quarter in this
awesome
massive game, which also featured a heartbreaking fumble and then game-winning field goal for Texas. It was just an awesome season all the way around. That was like, as a kid who had grown up here, and it's like every Saturday you have Nebraska, and then I go off to college and I'm somewhere else. And
sure.
It's like, you have to make yourself, whenever I talk to people who don't live in Nebraska and are fans, and it's like, you have to like really, you take it for granted when you're around it every single day. And so when you're away from it, you like seek it out in a way that's different. And so that's why that 2016, and I've talked to guys that have played on it, and I just like, I love that team for as imperfect as it was, because it was sort of like, I don't know, it just meant more to me because it's the first time and the only time in my life that I've lived in a state that wasn't Nebraska during the season.
So for me, right, you bring up a great point about watching the Husker season from somewhere different, because I had to do that last year, and it sucked. Because
you're in Chicago.
I was in Chicago.
But nobody cares.
And nobody gave a damn.
Well, I'm sure you could have found like some sort of Nebraska bar.
And I did, but it was actually more of an Indiana bar than it was a Nebraska bar.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it was stupid. But it was one of those things where it's
picture of Tom Crean as you walk in.
Everybody told me how great this bar was and how it was a Nebraska bar. And I immediately go in and they served me a drink, and they served.
Was it room temperature?
No. They served it to me in an Indiana cup, and they had a Nebraska cup.
Did you just end up at Nick's? Is that where you were at?
No, it was different, Kirkwood. And
yeah. I don't think of that place necessarily as a Nebraska bar, but
people told me it was. And I was seeing the Nebraska cups. I go, and I made them do it. I go, I ain't drinking out of this. Can you pour it in a Nebraska cup? And they're like, yeah. So they just poured my drink back in the Nebraska cup. So I tried doing that. It was whatever. I just couldn't share the passion I had, and like nobody understood why I was yelling at the TV and why I was so mad. Why, like, like we would go out on Saturdays and you could tell. Oh, you could definitely tell if the Huskers won or the Huskers didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like nobody else got it. Nobody else understood what I was going through. You can only find it here, and you can only experience it here. So, all right, Mike is on the lines. I think he's got a read out moment from his favorite moment, the moment he fell in love with the team. Mike, how you doing? What you got for us?
I've got a story for you.
All right, I love it.
So I'm going to summer school in like 91.
Oh, is this Nebraska ball, Mike?
It is.
Okay, we didn't put your name on there. Tell us, Nebraska ball.
I'm going to summer school in 1991.
Okay.
And the bus driver who picked me up every day, his name was Ivan. Okay, I wasn't really paying attention to Nebraska football. I'd watched the Oklahoma game in 90, and I'd watched the Oklahoma game in 88 with Steve Taylor. But he walked me, he took me to school in 91, and he walked me through all of our conference rivalries, and he walked me through every other team. And then he sent me to the library where I found a couple of VHS tapes. And I watched those repeatedly so that I could know the history of it, all of it.
That's awesome.
As far as the player goes, you're gonna have to go back to 1991. His name, if you want to look him up, Matt, is Kenny Walker.
Yes.
What makes him special is that he was deaf. And he was actually good enough to be drafted by the Denver Broncos.
That's great.
And when you saw 75,000 people shut up and do the deaf cheer for him, that was a special moment.
That is beautifully said, Mike. Appreciate the call. That was awesome.
Thank you.
See, that's what Red Out Week's all about. Bringing your best memories, your best moments, things that pull on your heartstrings, and hopefully this season.
Who, because I'm sure it's been asked before, but I don't actually know the answer, so I might as well ask you on air. Who's the college team that you sort of rooted for before you ended up here in Nebraska?
Like Northwestern was on Saturdays.
Oh, you actually cared about Northwestern?
Very deeply.
There's people that care about Northwestern.
I'm one of the very few. I was one of the very few. I mean, I went to. People still ask me about like the whole. Oh, who would you root for, Nebraska versus Northwestern? I'm like, I went to Nebraska. I got a degree from Nebraska. It's Nebraska, but Northwestern was definitely like a hey, game's on. Like what you?
Is it because of the area where you're?
I literally am 10 minutes away from this game.
Okay, gotcha.
And my dad went there. He's an alumni.
Gotcha.
So he is a massive like.
Does he have seats at the small little beach stadium they got going on?
We used to though. Like, but Bryant McIntosh is like a god in our family. Now that's basketball, not so much football. Like, hey, we got to hit a break and then we're gonna hit one more Red Out moment. Eric is on the line. Don't go anywhere, Eric. We got a great show for you ahead. Marcus Satterfield and EJ Barthel both talked yesterday. We're gonna dive pretty deep into that. We're also going to talk about the college football playoff garnering to the SEC once again, which makes everybody really pissed off. And then we're going to have Mr. Stephen M. Sipple on at 9:20. And Brian Edwards at 9:40, giving your picks for this first college football weekend. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Just heard that on the break. It's Red Out Week. We're celebrating the week leading up to the Nebraska football kickoff between the Cincinnati Bearcats and the Huskers. We ask you a Red Out Week question at 7:30, and we'll read those off at 9 o'clock. But our question is, what was the moment you fell in love with Nebraska football? What was the game? What was the play? What was the player that you were like, man, like this is my team always and forever? And Mike brings up a great one. There are some people, if you grew up in the state, it wasn't really a choice, right? It wasn't, you may not have a moment. So if you don't have a moment, what's your team? Was there a team where you felt like you related to them and you really fell in love with them? And that's the flag you plant the mountain you plant your flag on. So we'll go to the Prairie Flower Casino hotlines, 402-951-1620, the zone. Prairie Flower Casino, play longer, win more. Eric has a Red Out moment. Eric, what do you got for us, my man?
Hey,
how are you,
what's
dude?
going on, guys? Hey,
Good. We're good.
Hey, I got a really slept on Memorial Stadium game for you.
Okay.
So it was 1988. Oklahoma State comes in with Mike Gundy and Barry Sanders, Hartley Dykes, and they were a high-flying offense. They were just incredible. I was 10 years old at the time,
Okay.
first game I ever went to. But I was all about Barry Sanders, watching him warm up and everything, thinking it's going to be a great game.
Sure.
First quarter, Nebraska jumps out 35-0. And then it goes to 42-0 before Oklahoma State starts scoring.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, Ken Clark has 256 yards, 3 touchdowns. Barry Sanders has 189 and 4 touchdowns. So after that, I was like, damn, I need to really start jumping all into this. So
Well, that was a great team that year. Ended up losing to Miami, the Orange Bowl. That game was a homecoming game, October 15th. So that was your first home game, Eric. October 15th, 1988.
My first home game was in like 86.
Oh, okay,
but,
okay.
It was my first big game.
Yeah.
And then
Love that.
to see Nebraska do that to Oklahoma State, I was all in after that. So yeah, it was incredible. If anybody wants to YouTube that, if you haven't ever watched that game, that first quarter is unreal. So
Eric, thanks for the call, my man. That was awesome. Like that's the one thing that like this whole kind of losing streak of Nebraska football over the last 10 years at this point. That is the one thing you do kind of worry about, where it's like how when the team is great and when they were chugging and they were just absolutely dominant, so many people have those young moments of like, oh my God, I was there and I saw them beat this team, or I saw them absolutely dominated. They were, a national champion or this and that. And it's like, we've gone 10 years now where it's almost like a whole group of kids, unfortunately, haven't been able to be in Memorial Stadium and be like, yeah, I saw them beat this team in this moment to win this game, and it meant this to me. And so it's like, that's why this rebuild just feels like a little bit bigger than the ones before it, because it's just been so long at this point, and it's such a passionate fan base that you have all of these things that have coupled into the tradition of it. And one of the traditions is seeing the Huskers win and being like, all right, this is my team, or this is my player. And so you hope Matt Rule and the Huskers turn that around.
Yeah, I mean the loss of the younger fan base is always going to be a concern when the continued losing happens. So it's a thing where I see it all the time with recruiting in state. Like there's the expectation because you grew up here that you're going to have this pull to go to Nebraska. And if you think about it, and I would use Christian Jones as an example. I think it was like second or third grade was the last time you saw a winning season prior to ending up at Nebraska. So, it's tough to just assume that these guys are going to have the same love for a program that you did, because again, I was like born at a time that allowed me to witness 3 national titles.
Sure.
And
that's a great point.
No way I appreciated it as much as, I probably should have. And yet at the same time, like I understand like what the pinnacle looks like.
I know.
And so, a lot of people don't. And it works the same way. You have the people like my brother, who's someone who's an example of this, who's so tired of watching Nebraska try to get through it that he's just sort of tuning it all out until they actually come back and have a reason for him to care.
Sure. And I honestly don't fully blame people like that, because if you put a lot into it, reason why I love Nebraska fans so much is because they put their heart and soul and everything into a season. And I think over a 9-year stretch, it's just like
It's what it is.
I know. But it's not everybody does that. Not every
But,
fan base does that.
I mean,
And
when
not to the
people
level
talk
this
about
fan base.
Nebraska not having anything else, I mean, really what they're saying is they just don't have like the pro team to
Sure.
put your
million percent. Oh,
so
I'm not
this
saying that
is
at
the
all.
pro team.
Oh, yeah. But I think like for me too, like I come from this new era of all I've ever been told is how good it was and how good it can
Oh
be.
yeah, that has to be almost insulting.
It's not insulting, it's just incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, I want it. I want to be in the pictures. I want to throw the champagne. I want to be at Sandy's at 11:30 after a Big Ten victory.
Sure, I meant more insulting in the whole conversation that happened after the students rushed the field against Colorado, and it's like, well, if you're saying act like you've been there, it's they literally have.
We literally have it. So, all right, coming up next, we're going to talk about a guy, and we were talking about the young fans. Man, I think Dylan Raiola is so important when it comes to the young fans and capturing young fans and having those moments and having those players because of where he's put himself. We're going to be talking about his former offensive coordinator and a running backs coach where it'll be a big year for that guy and how we judge him. We'll talk about that all next on the other side of this break. Hey, Lincoln Park is headed to the Metro Zero World Tour with special guest Gene Dawson. Will be on Friday, August 29th at the Chi Health Center in Omaha. Listen all week to the Connor Happer Show and Unsportsmanlike Conduct for your chance to win your way into the show. You can find more details at 1620thezone.com. I am currently, it is PFF season, Mr. Mike Schaefer. We are just going through all of the grades and all of everything to either get yourself happy or get yourself mad about the season that Nebraska had last season. And I'm also trying to find more stats and whatnot because I do want to find out something with personnel groupings. But this is the moment in time where everybody buys their PFF stats. They buy their PFF subscriptions. We start freaking out about player grades and everything in between. Do you believe in PFF?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of it, I think, is fine. I don't take it as gospel because I don't think that the guy sitting behind the computer punching in the grades always has an idea of what the player on the field is attempting to do.
Yes.
I think it works as a very quick overview of someone's ability. I don't think that we need to sit there and break down like, okay, this guy's a 92 and that guy's a 78, like, but he had more interceptions.
Sure.
But this says that he was better in coverage, per yard depth of the target that was being thrown. It's, I don't know. Some of it is the eye of the beholder. Again, in a very general sense, I think PFF does a nice job. I think when people try to make it the gospel, that's when I kind of push back on it quite a bit.
This is my thing with analytics in general. I feel like people use analytics when it helps you. That's
stats in general.
Yeah. Well, I do think that we get to the point where it's just like the stats are so bad or the stats are so good that you can't deny what you're seeing, right? But I think PFF is the ultimate analytic stat where you're like, if your eyes see something, you're going to be like, well, watch him play. Just watch him play.
Do you think that PFF is a stat?
I look at it as a stat, yes.
Because I don't think it's to me, a stat should be at least based on a result that's objective. This is a subjective form of grading, so I don't think it's a stat.
The reason why I call it a stat, though, is because we've now assigned a number to a performance. And when you assign a number to a performance, you can call it, you can call it whatever you want. I don't really, stat, not stat, subjective, unsubjective. I mean, you're right, it is pretty subjective. But it is a tool that is for sure used.
I just think there's a difference between it and, say, like what QBR, for instance, because there's a formula for it where you're inputting other numbers.
Yes.
So it's, I guess I'm trying to draw the distinction there.
I think my distinction is PFF is one of those things for me where it's like, I think it gives you a good outline. Like you said, it's not gospel. I think it gives you a really good outline, but it definitely is one of those things where it's like, if it works for you, and if you have a really high grade and you are really high in a player and they have a high grade, you're going to go ahead and you're going to take it as gospel.
Yeah.
And if a player has a low grade and you don't necessarily agree with that, you're not going to say anything about it, which I think in and of itself is kind of problematic when you use it in that, like when you're just using it one way to help yourself, or you can use it the opposite way. You can say, oh, I think this guy's having a bad season, and then he ends up having a high PFF grade. Then you're completely against the system. Even when you use the system, when you have a guy that has a high grade that you like. So I think that's just why I like it as the tool for, like, they give you other tools and stuff like that and tell you what types of plays and whatnot. And I'm trying to find a way to find personnel group.
I think if you use it as a data point inside a larger group of data points,
I think that is probably
how
I sort of best.
Yeah.
I don't think you can,
and I think that with
argument.
everything. I mean, I'm struggling with what the DVOA is. One of these things that you'll listen to people.
I don't do DVOA.
You'll listen to people talk about the NFL, and they'll talk about like their gambling lines or their, why this team is more likely to make it to the Super Bowl or whatever else. And it's just, I think it becomes a crutch almost that it's overly relied on.
So here's my thing with DVOA.
And I'm not like anti these things because Josh Peterson will tell you that I am.
I'm anti DVOA. and I'll tell you exactly why I'm anti-DVOA. Because I was in a market in football where you would just say, well, their DVOA is this, and then the conversation would end. And I would honestly ask half the people who say, well, their DVOA is this or DVOA is that. I don't know if they could actually tell me the equation that DVOA is, and like what it actually means. I think it's just we are like, oh, it's this, nice little math thing that we've put together that is somewhat accurate that we're just going to use as the end all be all. Now, I like expected points added because I think expected points added is a pretty easy way for you could just explain it. Hey, in this play, they lost 0.7 points.
Yeah, my only issue of EPA is that I just think of Environmental Protection Agency every time. It throws me. That's it.
The thing I like about EPA, though, is it is based off of a bunch of history. Like historically, if you were to take a sack on 2nd and 8 on this yard line, we can look back on the history of teams and players have taken that sack on that yard line in that situation, and then we can relay that into, statistically on average, you lose this amount of points. DVOA, I don't think anybody who's ever used it has really ever explained it to me other than it's defensive adjusted value over average, which even when you say that word to me, I'm like, man, I don't really know what that means. So there's a fun little conversation about analytics.
I just think with football, it's hard because it's such a small scale of data points that you don't, like with baseball, I'm more likely to accept it because it's generally going to be played out over a larger period. Like there's more, there's 600 at bats per player.
Yeah.
So then there's thousands of at bats per team. So like that, it's less. It's more sticky, I guess, if you would.
I think that's
whereas
a better way
if you
it.
play in a really bad division and you get 6 games a year against bad teams, then you can really enhance what your.
Well, I do think though, like if you were to be,
and obviously it's weighed against each other, so it doesn't, it's not like it just exists out there by itself.
I do think it still exists though in baseball when you because the entire NL Central last year benefited from having the White Sox in their division,
AL Central.
Having the White Sox in their division and getting to play that team 18 times a year. Same thing with I'm sure the NL West has benefited greatly with playing with the Rockies. But I do think that I don't think there are paper tigers in baseball. I think the 162 game set just eliminates that. I think there are so many teams every year in football in both levels where you just kind of know. I honestly think the NFC North, in a way, has been guilty of that because I think 2 years ago with your Vikings team, you guys had a great record, but I think if you watch those games, you're like, they're probably not at the level as maybe they're still a great team. I'm not denying that.
I was about ready to fight you.
Yeah, no, still a great team.
You mean a team losing 52-10 or whatever it was to the Cowboys doesn't qualify as a great team? I disagree with that.
Yeah, no.
I watched them beat the Bills on the most inexplicable set of circumstances the week before. So clearly a great team. So take that. Argue against that. Beat the Bills. Beat Josh Allen in Buffalo. Justin Jefferson's catch.
Well, here's
4th and 18, one-handed.
I will never argue with you about the Vikings. Just I don't think anybody will argue with me about the Bears.
No,
it's just loaded up.
I don't think that was a great team, but at the same time,
you still won 13 games that year?
You don't luck into 13 wins.
Yeah. But
did they luck into 3 wins? Should they have been more 10 and 7? Yeah,
I think do you remember the Packers the year before that?
Well, every Packers team is lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a thing we can agree on. We don't really have to discuss.
No, we don't. But it's not to the point. You don't luck into 13 wins, but I personally wasn't looking at the Vikings that year as being they're going to win the Super Bowl.
No.
I know, and I think you definitely get that in college football. I mean, so I guess we'll talk about this now because, and this is a good lead into it because we're talking about analytics. The college football playoff has decided to kind of switch the way in which they grade things and they pick teams that are going to be in the CFP. And
they're just making up the rules as they go along they do.
No, they have a new metric. It's titled record strength. This will give further credit, and by the way, this is from a CBS article. This will give further credit to how a team performs against its schedule. It will give extra credit for beating quality teams while lessening the penalty for losses against tougher opponents. To the contrary, it will give less credit for beating lesser teams. Additionally, the existing strength of schedule metric has been adjusted to further err towards playing higher level foes.
Do you get negative credit for being a coward and only playing 8 conference games?
That's my next question.
So if that's not a thing,
Can I just talk about this? And maybe this is going to put us way off kilter and way off.
only way to go.
If I'm a team, and let's say I beat the number 12 team in the country, and I beat the number 15 team in the country, I'm clearly a good team. Then I go ahead and I have 3 losses, and my 3 losses are to the number 1 team, to the number 4 team, and the number 9 team. Okay. Sure, I have 3 losses against 3 very high quality opponents. But if I'm going to win the national championship, I am going to have to beat the number 1 team, the number 5 team, the number 9 team. I have been given 3 opportunities to play those teams, and I have lost all those games. I have essentially proven that I can't win the national championship because I can't beat that caliber of a team. I don't understand when we're talking in the scope of making national championships, because the theory is the 12 teams in the playoffs should be the 12 teams that have the best shot at winning the national championship, in the theory. If I've proven throughout my regular season that I can't beat the top dogs, why am I not getting as penalized for that? Because what? They're just better, you know? Like I'm not sitting up here and standing on like the mountain and being like, oh, you should just play 11 cupcakes and get in. I'm not saying that either. Like, I'm not in support of what Indiana's doing at all. I don't like it. I don't like what they're doing. But at the same time, like,
well, go into that for me. What are they doing? They're playing in a conference.
No. I just don't like the 15 just absolute tomato cans that they are going to play over the next 5 seasons. Now,
that's not their fault, though. They don't make the Big Ten schedule.
No, I'm talking about their non-con.
Well, I mean,
they make their non-con, and they've clearly decided to go in that direction. And I'm not saying that every year they have to play 3 power teams in their non-con. I'm not saying that every year they have to play 1 power team in their non-con. But I'm just saying over a 5-year stretch where you play no power teams whatsoever, that's a little bit out there for me. I'm not a fan.
What was
and they might have to change their strategy now that this thing exists, but this thing exists clearly to favor the SEC, which is an absolute joke.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, what else would be making rules for that try to discount winning in favor of just a slippery slope of, well, this team's more valuable. I can't explain why other than they played in this conference and we gave them a higher preseason rank. So I wanted to go back and look. What was Michigan's schedule in 2023?
Oh, it was easy. It was they played what? Youngstown?
They played East Carolina,
yeah,
UNLV, and Bowling Green. And yeah, they beat Ohio State at the end of the year because they have Ohio State on their schedule, but they didn't schedule hard. So why would I ask Indiana to schedule hard?
No, I'm not. I'm not comparing teams here. Okay.
Sure.
All I am saying is I'm not a fan of just being like the first 3 games every single season for 5 years. We're just going to play ODU and Howard and all of these teams that have absolutely no shot. I think in the spirit of college football, and yes, maybe I'm stupid for saying that because honestly, everything over the last couple of years has been done to kill the spirit of college football. But I'm still holding on to that. And in the spirit of college football, I think it is cool and I think it's fun once every couple of years to have a challenging matchup, to have a power conference game in which you don't play this team a lot. Man, I haven't seen Nebraska play Cincinnati a ton. It'll be cool to see them playing in their jerseys, against each other. Like, I think that is a cool spirit of college football. I'm not in support of them completely getting rid of that. I'm also not saying, though, you have to schedule the hardest non-con every single year. You have to I would prefer teams to balance the doing what's best for you while also keeping the competitive spirit of the sport.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't know that there's any particular avenue that you can sort of legislate because we've just kind of allowed things to play out as they have.
Totally right.
So
totally correct.
To me,
but this in a way, isn't this in a way legislating it?
Well, it's attempting to, but it's what we do. We just make up things and then we determine whether there's value in it or not. And what drives me insane is that for multiple years now, we've allowed the take makers of college football to sit there and tell us that wins don't matter when they say Florida State at 12-0 or 13-0 doesn't deserve to be in the college football playoff, but this team over here with a loss does.
Yeah.
When we
I
say
agree.
that Indiana's wins aren't as valuable as Alabama's, and somehow it's always Alabama that's managed to benefit
and
this
I don't think
situation, which is its own thing.
Yep.
And I don't really have anything against Alabama other than they continually have benefited from a system that's been flawed for years, going all the way back to Oklahoma State not getting to play LSU in the championship game in 2011, which is total BS, but I'll move on.
It doesn't sound like you have.
I really haven't.
It's
it makes
okay.
me very mad.
There are things we'll never move
I
on.
wanted to see Brandon Weeden against the SEC.
And I wanted to see Junior Lake be the outfielder for the Cubs for a very long time. And it
Junior
just,
Lake
and it
reference. Okay, all right.
That was my guy, man.
Okay.
The prince that was promised.
So it gets into this idea that we have just discounted the idea that wins matter. And we watched a team play in a national title game where Ohio State wins a national title and they lost to a 7-5 Michigan team to end the regular season. That was their last game they played until they kicked the ever-loving crap out of Tennessee. The last game Ohio State played was a loss to an average Michigan team.
Yeah.
Now we'll trump it up because it's Michigan and it's Ohio State and it just means more. And all this other crap that doesn't actually matter. They won the national title. Do you remember who they beat?
Notre
They
Dame.
beat a team that lost to Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
So when we say that these games are tomato cans, and I know this is not what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Anything happens in college football.
Well,
that is the beauty of it. And so when we sit here and it's just like, oh, they scheduled too soft, they scheduled too hard. We got to try to do this for this conference. This conference does its own thing. We're just all ignoring the fact that at some point, this all has to collectively come together.
Well,
and that will truly kill the spirit of college football.
And that'll,
but until we get then, we're going to have this imperfect system where it's whoever is best at orating their argument or whoever owns the most property, TV, whatever, ESPN, will dictate and win out.
Well, my biggest, I have 2 points from that. And I think you're totally right because, look, we play the games for a reason. My first thing is I can't believe this whole hoopla is over a team that lost because, okay, let's read this again real quick. We'll give further credit to how our team performs against its schedule. It will give credit for beating quality teams while lessening the penalty for losing against tougher opponents, period. Okay? This rule, in a way, was made for Alabama. Alabama did not lose to tougher opponents. Alabama lost to Oklahoma, who they were a 20-point favorite against, and they lost to Vanderbilt, who they were a massive favorite against. This rule doesn't necessarily apply to what they're trying to solve. Because at the end of the day, if Alabama just beats the teams that they're supposed to beat, they are in the college football playoff. And so I just, for the life of me, I just don't understand why it's so difficult and why we have to use all these different metrics and use all these different things. Let's just watch the game and what's their record, okay? You watch the games, Indiana was 11-1, and it wasn't a BS 11-1. They kicked the crap out of everybody.
Yeah.
Alabama was 9-3, and they played like a 9-3 team against Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. You can just go down the line and say, okay, let's watch the game. Okay, they won. All right, they look good. Man, they lost too many games. Done, you're out. Boom, we're over. I don't understand this whole we have to move the goalpost and make new stats and change things. And what was so wrong about the college football playoff 1 through 12 seeding last year that we now have to change the metrics?
I don't think anything other than the only fix I would make from all of last year is you'd have home sites for the first 2 games.
Yes.
That's it. I don't love the seeding, the 1 through 4 seeding. I think you can tweak that a little bit. Everything else I was fine with. I think they got the right 12 teams.
Right teams.
But I was going to say, so like, what do you do if a Texas, where you look at their schedule last year, they beat Colorado State, not impressive. They beat a Michigan team that finishes the year better than what they started.
Sure.
So you played them on week 2. Do you still get credit for the Michigan team that beats Ohio State in week 13?
This is a whole
then
other can of worms.
If this is what we're doing, if we're assigning value.
I know.
But then you go through it. So you have that. You have UTSA. Stop me when you get to an impressive win here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have UL Monroe.
No.
You have Mississippi State.
No.
You have Oklahoma.
No.
You have a loss to Georgia.
No.
You have Vanderbilt.
No.
Which you won by 3 points, by the way.
Oh, cool.
But 6-6 Vanderbilt, greatest 6-6 team of all time.
Clearly,
right up there with
according
the
to the
greatest
SEC.
3-9 team of 2021 in Nebraska. Those two would have played each other. Would have been a barn burner.
Holy Lord, they would have played in the Outback Bowl.
Florida with DJ Lagway, greatest quarterback ever, I think, made an appearance.
Is he the greatest quarterback ever with a sub 60% completion percentage?
Something like that.
Or is that Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, it's only quarterbacks from Florida. So, okay, I'm still waiting for the great win here.
Yeah,
Arkansas.
No.
Kentucky.
No.
Number 20, Texas A&M.
Is where at
17-7.
At A&M?
I believe they wanted it at A&M.
Okay, I'll say that's impressive.
So that's their win. How many points are they getting?
It just means more, Mike. Mike, it just means more. Have you seen the SRS?
And then they lose to Georgia again in the SEC.
Have you seen the recruiting rankings? Have you seen how much talent that they have?
This is my point.
Have you ever played?
If we're going through
in an
Indiana's
atmosphere
schedule,
in the SEC?
And we're just going to knock everything that Indiana did. Texas, who I wouldn't say didn't deserve to be in the college football playoff, but if this is the game we're playing, why are we giving so much credit for beating Kentucky, Arkansas, Florida, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M? One of those teams had a better record.
Okay, I have
6-6.
I have a sarcastic but slightly serious idea. Okay, because this whole crux of the problem between the SEC and the Big Ten is not necessarily about the top of the Big Ten or the top of the SEC. It's about the middle and lower parts of both conferences, right? I think we should just do every single year, your 10th through 18th team in the Big Ten plays your 10th and 18th team to the SEC. Okay? And I'm being half joking, but have Vanderbilt play Maryland and find out who's better. Have all these teams play each other, and let's find out who the better middle and back ends of the conference are. So when we go, because there are people who be like, well, a win over Arkansas is way better than a win over Michigan State. How do you know that? You don't know that? They're both bad, right? I agree. You can't tell me that a win over Mississippi State is better than a win over Northwestern. You don't know. They haven't played against each other. That's just arbitrary, subjective BS, right? Honestly, that is based off of nothing that is plain or objective or that is concrete at all. It's just our perception of something, right? We perceive because Northwestern is in Evanston, Illinois, that they're not going to be better than a team that's in Mississippi based off of the recruiting rankings, the geography, and you don't know that. You don't know that. So that's where this really all boils down to, because Alabama losing to Vanderbilt, right? Let's put it this way. Minnesota nearly beat Penn State, right? If Minnesota had beaten Penn State, we would have been like, oh my God, are they really a contender? Are they really that good? Penn State, James Franklin, what a choker. But Vanderbilt beats Alabama, and what do we say? Oh my God, Vanderbilt's great. Diego Pavia. Oh my God. Guys are incredible. It's just so how we judge the back halves of these conferences are just so wildly different to me. And it makes no sense because they all suck. They're all terrible.
Yeah, I just think they're all mediocre. And so, it's what degree of mediocre you want to be. This is the problem with it, though. We're just going to make this up. And then someone's going to sit in front of a camera and try to tell you with a straight face that a team that lost 3 games is going to be better than a team that only lost 1 because they have some sort of formula to determine who's a better opponent that I'm sure includes preseason rankings, which is the dumbest part of all of this. If you put 9 teams in the top 25, you get more credit for that.
We're going to leave on this note real quick.
You look like you're hurting over there.
I'm just so pissed off now because it's just
we aren't even talking about Jalen Hurts anymore. I thought that was the most agitated I was going to see you today. Now it looks like you're nursing a migraine.
Here's my thing. I'll just leave it at this before we have to talk about Husker football, Marcus Satterfield, and EJ Barthel. I think the committee should just get up in front of a microphone and say, hey, guys, somebody's going to get their heart broken. Okay? Somebody's going to be upset. Somebody's going to be angry. We're just going to pick the best 12 teams, and that's how we're going to do it, and we're going to stop catering to everybody complaining.
I would rather they just get up and tell the truth. ESPN owns us, so we're taking 5 SEC teams. Deal with it.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about a team that is not in the SEC. They're in the Big Ten. They're called the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They have a running back. He should be pretty good this year. We'll detail that all on the other side of this break. Red Out Week, baby. We are having fun. Like I said, Red Out Week, the week leading up to the beginning of the Husker football season, a highly anticipated Husker football season, which will culminate with a roundtable from 4 to 7 p.m. on Sportsmanlike Conduct that will include all of the dudes, myself, Gary Sharp, Connor Happer, Josh Peterson, and John Bishop. But before we get to that, fall's just right around the corner, and 1620 The Zone is giving you the chance to win a season pass to Nebraska's favorite fall attraction, Vala's Pumpkin Patch. You could win 2 2025 season passes to Vala's and enjoy all the fall family fun that Vala's has to offer. Enter to win right now at 1620 The Zone. I will be at some point doing I got to make that schedule of is my college. So today on the Connor Happer Show, they'll be grunting the slate.
Grunting.
Have you not heard about this on the
No.
Connor Happer Show?
I don't always
It's
know
where
about his bits.
They go through the schedule and they judge which games they're most excited about by grunting.
Oh, Sipple style?
Yes. They
Like
go,
Yeah.
mhm.
Mhm.
So they're grunting the slate.
Just making everybody uncomfortable.
I am
as they're
going to
driving
make a
around.
schedule based on the best weeks to go to the pumpkin patch this
Okay.
college football season.
I already know which week I'm going. It's already locked in.
Okay. Don't tell me. I want to.
I'm going on a Sunday, so
Oh, I will never go.
yeah. No, I
Also,
I don't know that you would be going to a pumpkin patch.
well, I don't have a girlfriend, so I won't be. That's the thing. Unless I go to a
I'm
Tate
going because I have a
McRae con-
child.
Unless I go to a Tate
I have a
McRae
wife,
concert.
but I don't know. We'd look at each other and be like, "Hey, let's go to the pumpkin patch." It's more for Hudson than it is us.
Hudson's a great name. It's
Thank
just,
you.
It's such a strong name. Like it's like Hudson's the type of name that was just etched into Plymouth effing Rock. You know,
there's a little bit of a, I wouldn't say regal, but there's something to it. It does feel like he could get stuffed in a locker, though.
do you have like a
If kids still stuff people into lockers,
do you have
I don't know
a
if that still
favorite?
happens.
Was Hudson like a? Did you name him after Hudson Clement, the Illinois wide receiver?
No, clearly it was named after Hudson River because I'm just a huge Sully Sullenberger person, and when he landed the plane in that river, I just wanted to honor the moment.
Are you
my first child, my first son?
Are you like Quagmire, where you go up to Sully and you want him to sign your captain's hat?
I didn't know
Captain
that
Sullivan. Captain Sullivan.
I didn't know that had made it onto the Family Guy.
He goes up to him. He goes, "I'm a pilot too." And Sully goes, "What's your longest?" He goes, 14 seconds. He's like, "We'll be moving. Welcome to Flight 677 from American Airlines, flying into Omaha from Chicago. Our flight is scheduled for about an hour 45." That's what the joke is. They always do that. They always do that. I don't know where I was going with that. Is there any famous athletes though that you can come off the top of your head named Hudson?
Well, there's a golfer named Hudson Standish. There's a
Okay.
lot of, it's a surname, so there's a lot of like famous, Tim Hudson. A lot of baseball Hudsons. Tim
Well-
Hudson, Orlando Hudson.
Oh, that's a good point. Hopefully, at the end of the season, people will be naming their kids Emmett after the.
Oh,
Incredible-
you think Emmett, huh?
I think Emmett's a good name too.
It's not a name that you see regularly now, though it's perfect name for a running back, obviously.
I think it's Emmett Smith, obviously, clearly. I mean, I always thought Rashad or Richard.
I see a lot of Rashads in the recruiting game.
Like
You don't see many Emmets.
no,
Literally, Emmett Johnson is one of the few Emmets I can think of.
Rashard Mendenhall, I think, is the
Yeah.
greatest running back name of all time.
Richard Mendenhall.
Just the name. I'm
You know
not.
my favorite thing about Richard Mendenhall?
We played for Niles West.
He gets a lot of writing credits on the HBO show Ballers.
Really?
He was one of the football players they used to come up with scenarios that would happen to real football.
You know what? That's pretty sick, actually. Good for Rashard
Yeah,
Mendenhall.
I laughed every time I would see his name in the credits.
Incredible.
And yes, I did watch Ballers. And yes, it isn't very good.
With The Rock, correct?
Yeah.
Hopefully Emmett Johnson doesn't drop The Rock this year.
And Denzel Washington's kid, John David Washington's in it.
I didn't even know Denzel had a kid.
Yeah.
We're falling into the age of nepotism, by the way. There's just now Stephen A. Smith's daughter is like on ESPN television.
Is she an influencer? They just hire
I
influencers.
don't know, man. Well, I actually like that Katie Feeney girl. She actually did some pretty good stuff and worked her way up. I have some respect for her.
I'm sure she's great at what she does. I don't know that
You don't
I've ever
underst-
seen a press release for someone because they have a lot of followers on TikTok.
Well, welcome to this new day and age.
Yeah, no, I'm aware that I'm unprepared for it. Also, I never followed up and watched any Tate McRae, so I can't have a conversation with you on her.
Don't worry about it. We'll talk about the tight ends right here, and then we'll talk about the running backs in the next segment. But quickly, I can't find a personnel grouping stats, which I'm so pissed about.
Like how many times Nebraska was in 12?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
I don't
want
have that
to
either.
know.
I wondered if that's what you meant.
I want to know how many times there were in 12 last year, because I honestly,
fair amount.
Yeah, a good amount of it. But I want to get it to an actual number, and I want to see if that number was actually higher than I thought it would be or lower than I thought it would be. And I want to predict on what it could be. Because I think if it was like at 25% of the time, 23% of the time, I think that's a number that I would want to be higher. And if it was at like 34 to 35, I'd be like, okay, that's probably like around maybe a little bit lower of where I want them to be. Because I think, especially this year, if you're looking at NFL numbers, your ability to run out of the 3 wide receiver set has never been more successful in the game of football. And so I think that there's this whole idea of like, oh, if you have 2 tight ends, you're definitely for sure going to be able to run way more, way better than you have before. But I think with the dynamic passing games that coordinators have, that just kind of hasn't been the case. I think that Nebraska very well could live out of 12 personnel this year if Heinrich Haarberg ends up being a player that I think he can.
12 personnel being 2 tight ends.
Yes.
Just for those who don't
Yes.
know. But
yes.
Yeah, I'm fascinated because when Holgorsen was hired, and I called people who covered him at West Virginia and covered him at Houston, you can go back and look statistically. Like the tight end wasn't really part of his offense.
Not
what he had more of was like an H-back or just kind of just sort of a dirty do everything kind of guy. Like, I don't know how you would describe that exactly, but in that formation, that person might line up next to the quarterback in a pistol type thing, or in the shotgun, or it might be under set, or he could be at tight end, or he could motion into one or out of one. Or out of one, yeah. Or split them out, which is the new big thing in college football and football in general. You split your tight end out so they're the wide receiver.
Yeah.
And they're playing out of the slot, which is what Nebraska did with Carter Nelson most of last year and did with Thomas Fidone a fair amount too. I'm fascinated because now we know he loves Luke Lindenmeyer and we know that they really like Heinrich Haarberg. I want to know what it looks like from a formation, because I don't think it's just going to be the traditional, you're going to have one on one side, one on the other.
God, no.
I think guys are going to move a lot.
They're going to stack them.
Yeah. And so I'm fascinated because then the sort of like RPOs you can run off of that.
So it wasn't even just an RPO. It's the fact that like Heinrich Haarberg is truly a player if he develops into one. So if Heinrich Haarberg develops into the tight end that his athleticism can make him, and if Luke Lindenmeyer becomes better as a pass catcher, you're going to have linebackers and safeties consistently all the time just have to put their attention on one of those 2 guys. And if you split the difference, they're probably going to get a favorable matchup in terms of height and weight and everything like that.
Here's the problem with all of it, though. You have Nigel Hunter.
Yeah.
You have Dane Key.
Yeah.
You have Ja'Cory Barney. Who's coming off the field?
See, that's a problem.
I'm not saying it's a bad problem.
Exactly.
But if you're going to play more 12 personnel, you're not going to have one of those 3 guys.
Sure. And I think the first 4 weeks of the season will be figuring out what the personnel groupings work for you.
Right.
And whether or not you'd rather be in a 3x1 as opposed to would you rather be an 11 as opposed to a 12, or would you rather consistently go with 3 wide receivers as opposed to 2 tight ends?
Are you going hockey style line changes with your pass catchers to just keep guys fresh?
I don't know.
Are you playing?
But I think that is why the 2 games in between of Akron and Houston Christian are so important, because you can kind of figure out who do we need.
Yeah.
Like, are we even? Look, training camp only tells you so much. I don't even think they know if they can really use. I think they can use 6 wide receivers. I think they're going to find out in the first 3 weeks if that's actually a viable option for them.
I think they have to find out if Heinrich Haarberg is good enough that you're going to commit to taking other guys off the field to play him as much as what we're talking about.
But I do think, though.
So I think he's a really interesting player. I think his full potential is not going to be met at Nebraska.
Okay, but I do think, though, that just the different look that you can give
Oh,
and
absolutely.
the opportunities that you.
Yeah,
can
I think he's
put
going to
him
play.
in. Oh,
It's
yeah.
just, it becomes like, okay, but what are we taking out?
See, I think that Heinrich Harburg, I don't need him to be a superstar.
He's not going to be a super.
I just need him to be a viable threat.
Sure.
I need him to be a guy on the scouting report that they look at him and say, hey, when he gets into the game, like we have to make sure that we understand our assignment, because then it alters everything else that all of the other parts of the secondary have to do, in which then if you wanted to, you can pick out, all right, hey, we got a great matchup with Hunter. We have a great matchup with Key, or we just have a great matchup straight up with Harbor.
I'm going to annoy you by saying he's going to definitely be part of the scouting report because he can throw a football. So they're going to have to be aware of where he is at all times. So
I can't stand
it.
Yeah. From the
I know
scouting report as a
100% what you
tight
meant,
end.
but I'm not giving it to you because I'm me.
You never give anything.
Well, yeah.
But I
you
think
earn what you get, Matt.
I think the RPOs are incredibly interesting as well. And I think you can, man, thinking about it right now.
Think of some of the backside stuff you could do if a Harburg and you get him in space by himself.
It's just the front side stuff you can do with Barney.
Well, sure.
Like you can just.
But people are going to be watching the front door. I'm saying if you leak somebody at the back of the formation,
you can do
setting up an RPO. That's,
I see what you're saying. I love
because that's an easy count. You're RPOing the counter.
This is such a dumb Gen Z thing, but there's an incredible play on Madden that I would love.
The new Madden?
The new EA college football.
Oh, not Madden. Okay. College Madden.
I would love for Nebraska to run this, where it's like a tight end, like flare screen, where you come out, but it's an RPO. And so then you pull it, and then you have the two wide receivers out left to come block, and then you leak out the.
Yeah.
So you're looking.
I run the play. I know the play.
Yeah. So that's what you're talking about.
Been with the successful for Akron.
With the backside stuff, where it's like you're looking at that front.
100% what I'm seeing in my brain. Yeah.
Like boom, that would be. And getting. By the way, Heinrich Harburg's nickname is Spirit. Okay.
Spirit.
It's his nickname is Spirit because of that cartoon show, that cartoon movie with the horse named Spirit, because they say that Heinrich Harburg runs like a horse.
Cartoon movie with a horse named Spirit. Is this a Gen Z thing? He's not answering, folks.
Yeah, no,
I think it must be.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure what Matt's talking about.
Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. It came out in 2002.
Oh.
What? And so they call him
random thing.
They call him Spirit because he runs like a horse, because that's just how good of an athlete he was. They won an Oscar according to Jimmy.
Why wouldn't they just call him Horse?
Because he's Spirit.
He could be Horse Harburg.
He's Spirit.
No, I think Horse would have been better there.
I'm just saying. I think that the tight end room being dynamic could be the key from Nebraska going from a good offense to a great offense. And it's more than just putting the ball in Lindenmeyer Harburg's hands. It's the fact that their presence just absolutely mind F's everything else going on the outside, with three good wide receivers. One of them hopefully become really good. All right, coming up next, we talk about Emmett Johnson and the importance he has to this team. Emmett Johnson, 1,000-yard rusher, yes or no?
No.
Emmett Johnson, 1,000-yard from scrimmage, yes or no?
Way yes.
Okay.
The reason I don't know
I'll-
that he's going to get a 1,000 yards rushing is I think he's going to be more about total touches. That's going to involve receptions and total yards than I do. Like, I don't know that what would he need? He needs 60 yards across his, no. What's
You
the
would need,
math?
for you to get
1,000 yards dead even on 12 games.
If you were to get 1,000 yards even, it would be 83.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to average 83 per game.
83 gets to the.
Could I see him getting like 60 and then he makes up the rest of it through receptions? Absolutely.
83 gets you to 996.
Yeah.
So you need 83 yards a game. I think that 1,150 total yards, granted, if he's healthy, is probably a fair over under.
I would go over that actually.
Would you do 1,250?
I would. So if I was betting, I would go over that too.
Really?
Because at this point, if I'm betting it, because I think the type of season that he could have, and I don't think this is exactly what's going to happen, but the type of season that he could have is one where he averages like 125 yards from scrimmage a game. Because he's going to have bigger games. He's going to have less big games, but he's always going to be involved. He's going to have a lot of receptions. So if he has like 50 receptions,
which he
and that's
will.
let's say 60 because I can math that a little bit easier. But he has 60 receptions.
Yeah.
So then he's got to get at least 25 yards on those 60 receptions, if not more.
What do you mean 25 yards
receiving?
On each catch?
No, not on each. So 25 yards receiving per game.
So
if you're saying six catches,
300.
So it's basically
25 yards over.
So I think 1,300
is
is fair. I think honestly, it wouldn't shock me at the end of the year if he's right around 1,400 to 1,500.
If he got 6 catches a game, first off, he'd be close to Marlon Lucky's.
Yeah, that's what he was averaging under Holgerson. The caveat with Emmett Johnson for me, can he be healthy and viable?
So that's the big question.
Because he's only had to do what he's done at the end of each of the last couple seasons because they didn't start him earlier in the year.
I had this conversation with Michael Severe on Monday. I'm very worried about him being healthy and his workload because, yes, you can tell me it's over 4 games, but 4 games isn't 12 games.
Sure.
And there is a moment where, and I'm not a former player, but I've talked to plenty of them, not each game is equal in terms of wear and tear.
Yeah,
and
the
how
thing
it
going
adds
for him
up.
is he played in the tougher part of the schedule where you're going against the more physical but he was fresher at that time.
Exactly. And I'm more worried about okay, how does Emmett feel after touching the ball 25 times for the 7th game in a row?
Yeah.
He's
Now,
never done that before.
Does any part of you look at what he did? And I get it's high school and I get that it's college, but this is someone who came from a spot where he was used all the time. Like he was used in a capacity where. So I guess the one thing that does for me is usage isn't something that he has to get over mentally. He's not coming from a high school program that split everything up that he was only getting 12 to 15 touches.
Yeah.
He was getting as many as he wanted.
All right, we got to go to break. We're going to continue this conversation, and then we're going to do some red out stuff. But I have another question about another running back over under that might spark an interesting conversation. Then we're going to have Steve Sipple and Brian Edwards off to end the show. Don't go anywhere. You listen to Gary and Matt on a red out week on 1620 The Zone. All right, continuing our Red Out week here on 1620 The Zone, we have a $5,000 giveaway. It's called the Kinda Like NIL $5,000 giveaway. And it's kind of like NIL because, first off, you're not an athlete and you're not playing for 1620 The Zone. Also, we don't have $20.5 million in rev share to give away to you. But we just have $5,000 to give away to you. And if you want to win that $5,000, you can go to 1620thezone.com, enter in your email, agree to the terms and conditions that apply, and have a chance to win $5,000 in the Kinda Like NIL sweepstakes.
So all you got to do is just go there and accept the terms and conditions.
Bang.
You don't have to do anything else.
I don't think so. Let me check.
You don't have to make a video.
I don't think you do. I think you just have to go and sign up.
You don't have to build a
Just a
really
giveaway.
sweet sandcastle.
I
You don't
think
have to send in
we're
a photo of your
Let me
grandchildren.
see here. We got Red Out Week, kick off the football season, Winter Blur tickets.
You don't
There
have to
you
eat a Chicago style hot dog.
Hey, that's that is a that's a great thing to do. That's an award in itself.
Well, no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to do it in order to qualify.
Hey, you just got to enter your email here.
You don't have to have a conversation with Mitch Holtis.
No, it's just no pads, no
don't.
practice, just cold hard cash.
Wow.
Honestly, we should give away an opportunity to watch Sunday football with me at my apartment. That's what we should do. That'd be a great sweepstakes.
Only if you promise to season the board.
What
the stakes.
do you mean promise to season the board? The board
Well,
is
maybe you
always
weren't going to make
seasoned.
sticks.
I will if you come over.
Maybe you were going to give them Chicago dogs.
I'm going to tell you
instead.
something right now. I know you're not coming over for the football season at any point, but if you were, and for whatever reason you wanted to, I would season the board.
Thank you.
I
Thank
would
you.
season the board.
I don't. I'm going to say something that's probably going to be. I don't know how unpopular it would be. I don't know that I would ever like watching a Sunday of football want a steak. Like that's not what I think of for a football watching.
No. I think
like maybe if you did like steak bites and it's just like part of the appetizer menu.
I've done that before,
Mhm.
where I make the steak and I cut up the steak, and you can come around. You can just pick up the pieces of steak that you want. I know. I don't know if I want to sit down with a glass of red wine, mashed potatoes, and green beans and eat a steak. I agree with that. Now I will be having a steak today because I'm going to Hy-Vee.
I pretty much always just want appetizer food when I have a day of watching.
So I
football.
think so. What I make is I do a nacho table where I put tinfoil down on the table, and then I put all. Now I use the tortilla chips, but also Doritos. Game changer. Then I smoke a pork. Well, I use the oven to make a pork, and I put liquid smoke on it.
Gotcha.
And then I do that, and I put the pork on top of the nachos. I do Asian sticky ribs. Those is another great. And then sometimes I'll just make a spaghetti bolognese, which is also paired with a charcuterie board. Because I don't know if you know, but I love a charcuterie board.
Well, it is part of your generation.
Well, charcuterie board is probably my favorite thing to eat and to have. Oh my god!
How many different types of cheeses are you putting on this? Board?
3 different types of cheeses, 4 different types of meats, gherkins, and then a type of butter or a type of like spread, and then you also need some sort of fruit.
See, I just feel like I feel like it's wasted on me because I just need like cheese and salami.
So my
and
favorite
crackers, and I'm good. Like I need the poor person charcuterie board.
My
That's what I
favorite
want.
thing is doing where you get the green apples and then you put the
Dip them into caramel.
No. You put the green apples and you put it on a piece of brie cheese, and then you wrap the brie cheese in prosciutto. Man, that is like the ultimate bite: creamy, salty, and sweet.
That
You
is like
get
not
all
a
of
thing
it
I've
together.
ever done in my
You
life.
know, like the Ratatouille scene where he takes a bite of the cheese and the bite of the strawberry,
Sadly, I do know.
and
the
then
scene,
he takes the bites together. That's exactly how you feel when
That's
you
a
eat
great
Matt
movie.
McMaster charcuterie board. It is one of the best cooking movies of all time, and I don't give a damn what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't.
I haven't really rated cooking movies. It's better than
Chef
um
with Favreau.
Chef's fine. Yeah, it's better than Chef.
Schaefer
I'm trying to
sounds-
think of the one that it's terrible. It's got Bradley Cooper.
Oh, Burnt.
That movie's bad.
Well, you don't like the Burger King scene?
It's just bad. It's a bad movie.
Alex writes in, Schaefer sounds like a summer sausage and pocket knife kind of guy.
I don't carry a pocket knife, and I'm not offended by that.
I think
though.
you look like one though, with the big beard.
I look like a lot of things. But yeah, I summer sausage and cheese. I'm in.
I love the port wine cheese spread. It's famous in Wisconsin.
Mm.
If you know, you know.
I
It's
don't know.
So good, so damn good. Do you like liver sausage?
Don't know that I could tell you that
great.
I like it or dislike it because I don't know that I've had it.
Oh, you should have it. It's quite incredible. Real quick before we get to our Red Out Week emails that we'll be reading about.
Do you want to get back into Emma Johnson?
No, I want to get into Mekhi Nelson.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because you said it was another running back.
Over under 350 rushing yards. Or I think this might be unfair because do we really know what his output is going to be?
I don't think I could take an over on that. I mean,
Really?
there's a chance that he ends up playing a lot. But I just, what if he's only getting like 3 carries a game for like 26 yards?
So that is the question, right? Like, if he gets 8 carries a game, averages 8 carries a game over 12
then
games,
I would expect him to average at least 35 to 40 yards.
That's 96 carries in a season.
Yeah.
90 times 4 is 360. 90 times 5 or 90. Sorry. Be like 400 yards.
Yeah.
If he averaged.
I don't know that he's going to have that many.
4 times 360.
Now, if you told me touches,
384. So 384 yards.
I would take the under.
You
Give
would
me
take
the under. Yeah. I don't know that he's going to have that many carries. Again, I think we need to convert our brain on running backs to touches because I don't think that they are going to be traditionally running the ball.
Do you think he gets 8 touches a game?
I think that's a closer number. I think it's probably more likely 6.5 touches a game.
5 times 96 would be 450. So that's 480. 480 yards total from scrimmage. If he gets 8 touches a game, 8 touches a game over 12 games times 5 yards a touch. That's 480 yards.
Yeah, I would take less than that, but that's more in the range of where I would be with the 96.
I honestly think that this is going to be I don't know what the second running backs are going to do until the second.
Well, that's why I don't know that you can take an over on any of them because who knows? Could it be Mosey? Could it be Mekhi Nelson? Could Quentin Ives actually be as good as they say that he is, and we actually see him? Could Connor Booth emerge out of nowhere and be a guy? Do they just never give the ball to a second running back?
I was going to say, what if that's the option?
It's a possibility.
I'm not a fan of it.
What if like your second running back is actually just ends up being Ja'Cory Barney in a role in which he's playing out of the slot receiver and you're running a lot of jet sweeps?
Yeah. I would hate that.
I don't think he'd be like your second running back, but what if he had more carries than Mekhi Nelson?
I would I would not like that because it would come out a bunch of jet touch passes and jet sweeps. And honestly, you can't
have your 12 personnel on the field.
Well, I could, but I don't want my 12
That would be a tough 12 personnel.
I don't want a 12 personnel on the field doing jet sweeps. I want a 12 personnel like going up the seams.
It's not even really a jet sweep. It's just a reverse.
I know. No, I wouldn't. One of my biggest issues with Marcus Satterfield's offense was when Ja'Cory Barney was going in motion, there was probably a chance he was going to get the ball. And by week 6, it became incredibly predictable. Hell, by the Purdue game, by the second half of the Purdue game, it became incredibly predictable.
I didn't mind that as much as I did running those types of plays without the ability to block for them and putting the same people in the same spot where they hadn't been successful drove me insane. But you keep running screens and unsuccessfully doing so. So you 1st and 10 becomes 2nd and 14 because you're so stubborn that you're going to continue to do this, even when you're playing Ohio State and they're all over it.
I wasn't even annoyed with. I mean, obviously, I was annoyed with the whole they keep putting out, like they keep trying to run it to the right or run it to the left with a bunch of wide receivers who clearly don't want to block. Like, yes, that was a problem I had. I think the biggest problem I had, though, was that it just never felt like a natural offense. Like Fedoni would get the ball, and it would never feel like Fedoni got the ball because that's just how the play worked. It felt like Fedoni got the ball because you were like, we're giving it to Fedoni. And same thing with Barney. It never felt like, oh, Barney just naturally got the ball here in the seam, or he ran a really good flag and we got him outside the numbers. It was like,
was some of that Dylan though? Because I mean, you could find people online that can go back and show you plays where Thomas Fedoni's wide open.
Yeah.
And he's just not getting the ball.
Indiana game was just plain and simple. But then there were just times where it's like I felt like before Dana the time.
Well, UCLA, the pick 6 is a play in which you throw the ball to Thomas Fedoni, and we're maybe talking about the game entirely different.
Well, I think with the whole Fedoni thing is, and not just a Fedoni thing, this is just an offense thing. I felt like before Dana, the times that Dylan would get the ball out the quickest when it was just like, hey, this is his play, where I would prefer Dylan just go back. All right, he's not open. We're just going to put it somewhere else. So we're going to have a second option. I felt like it felt more natural. I just the whole when I watched Dana Holgerson's offense for 4 games, despite the fact that they didn't score as many points, more points, sans the Wisconsin game, I just watched and I felt like this just looks different. It feels different, and it looks like it could lead to something somewhere successful. And the fact that everybody else agreed with that told me I was right, is kind of the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I don't know that you're wrong. I think that there's a little bit more to it than it was a specific play call for a specific player.
Yeah.
In part because I think some of it was just Dylan. And
Man, that Indiana game was not. If you go back and you watch
Oh, it
the
was
tape of the
horrible.
Indiana, it was a terrible, terrible, terrible game for him. And there was so many. And when Satterfield yesterday said he's hitting the checkdowns, honestly, I think that was him kind of hinting at something. That's just me watching the press conference and being
Yeah.
like, clearly he didn't do that last year,
well,
and now he's doing it more.
I mean, I
Hopefully, he's going to do it more.
talked to a longtime college football assistant after the Indiana game. Actually, it was during it because he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And Nebraska didn't challenge their wide receivers vertically at all, or their defensive backs. They couldn't. They were just getting run out of the routes on a cover 3.
Hopefully,
So some of it is like personnel just dictated.
Well,
A lot of their demise is a combination of coaches putting the wrong personnel in the wrong spots, guys' completely inability to make plays.
all right, here we go. Derek emails in. The moment I became a diehard Husker fan was the moment the doctor extracted me from my mama's womb.
And there you go.
Kevin
You have no
Grant,
choice.
Kevin Grant writes in, I grew up in Omaha and went to my first game in 97 when I was 5 years old. I wanted a foam number 1 finger, which is, as I recall, seeing on Space Jam that the one that the fans had. Not sure if that timing lines up, but sounds right. But the real memory was getting a special tour in Lincoln in 2000 with my dad and uncle. We ate at the training table with Dominic Raiola. I also met Kyle Vanden Bosch and Coach Solich. At that point, there was no turning back, and I've been too far invested in Nebraska football into my early 30s, and now living in Texas 500 plus miles away. Shout out Kevin. This is what it's all about. Brent types in. Husker moment, which Shafe said about the 2006 Huskers resonated with me. I remember the titles in the 90s, but 2006 was my senior year in high school. That was the season Callahan's best team, one of the most talented from a post-title era. It resonated most with me because it was supposed to be the year the Huskers turning the corner into the national picture. It obviously didn't finish the way we wanted, but the 2006 Huskers were a talented and fun group to watch. Is there any more?
You're to like the 2016.
I like
when you go back to YouTube something besides Marvin Hagler tonight.
God, well, I don't know.
And I know why you did, but if you do that, just put in like 2006 Nebraska, Texas. Nebraska scores 3 touchdowns in that game, and they are 3 of the strangest but also most awesome football touchdowns you will see in a game.
You know what?
One's a trick play. One's just a play that doesn't get run in college football really ever anymore.
Yeah.
And another involves 2 defenders colliding with each other.
I watched 3 Hagler fights yesterday. Hearns, Mugabe, and Simpson. And they were all...
Was it Mugabe when we were texting? I think it was Mugabe.
Mugabe was when we were texting. And that's when Mugabe was actually winning the fight, and then he knocked him out in the, I think, 11th round. Tony Simpson might be one of the toughest MFers I've ever seen in my entire life. He just took a beating and still brought it to Hagler.
So why Hagler? Because I understand why you wanted to watch boxing because of the news that came out of yesterday.
Marvelous.
Is this a Chicago thing? Is this a family thing?
Marvelous Marvin Hagler. It's just my favorite boxer of all time. My dad showed me Hearns Hagler 1, and I immediately fell in love with him. He is my favorite boxer ever. He's 5'9" with like a 6'3" reach. All right. He just walks you down. He's just built. He's got the mustache. He's built like Adonis, like a god. And it just does not matter. He'll take all the punches in the world. And he'll switch from southpaw to orthodox, back to southpaw. He's just a fighter's fighter. Man, that
were you a fighter? Did you ever box?
No, I wish I did.
You
God,
didn't come up on that. Well, you're North Side Chicago.
And I also
you didn't have that South Side Chicago pedigree.
No, I didn't. I grew up with a silver,
spoon.
Yeah, and I didn't really need to take punches into the
I
head.
didn't say spoon. Living. What were you gonna say there?
Fork. That's the saying I know.
I mean,
I've always told it was a silver fork. Silver spoon's new to me.
In some communities, it could be fork. I don't know.
I think in our community, it was a fork. Wow. By the way, the news we were talking about, Tank Davis, Travata Tank Davis, is going to be fighting Jake Paul.
Crazy.
Tank Davis is 5'6" and fights at about 133 pounds. Jake Paul is about 6'1" and fights at 199 pounds.
Yeah. They're gonna meet in the catch weight.
What is the catch weight? 5'8", 155.
I want to make Jake Paul have to cut a bunch of weight.
Tank Davis is going to kick his ass. Okay.
I don't know. There's weight divisions for a reason. I know what you mean, but 60-pound difference can be a lot. It can give him a chance. It can give him a chance. What?
Gervonta Tank Davis grew up in a dungeon.
And he's falling off. He just had a majority draw in his last fight.
Fighting for his life.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think it's going to be a real fight?
Jake Paul, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think
they announced it. When has a fight ever not happened?
Tank Davis. What are you talking about?
And I understand what you mean. I think
what are you talking
he should kick his ass for sure.
Tank Davis is going to take Jake Paul's head off. Okay.
I just don't know just because of the weight difference. I just don't. I think on points, yes.
Jake,
I think Gervonta should win on points.
Oh my god!
But to knock him out, I generally actually do not think.
You understand the thunder that is in the hands of Gervonta Tank Davis. This
is
a guy
I've watched his fights.
This is a guy that, look, when you get into a professional fighting, when you get into a certain atmosphere, it does not matter how big you are, how strong you are. It matters about your training. Jake Paul is the most average, flat-footed boxer who relies on one punch that at best is slightly above average, and that's his right hand.
Yes.
He has no understanding of how to corner, how to angle, how to trap, how to take advantage of the ropes, how to dirty box. Gervonta Tank Davis knows how to do all of that. He could be 5'2". He's still going to kick his ass.
Yeah, but what if Jake Paul offers him more money to not do any of that?
Well, then Jake Paul is going to be victorious.
And then we basically just get McGregor or Mayweather where it didn't really matter and they just had a bunch of fun with each other.
I wish the Anthony Joshua one fight is what happened. Because if you heard the rumors about that he was maybe going to fight
but
AJ,
that would never happen because it would never go
that
the
would
other
be
way.
lovely because Joshua would knock him out in a minute.
Well, that's why it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Do you think Stephen M. Sipple is a big boxing fan?
He used to box.
He was a golden gloves winner.
I don't know if is he a golden glove?
I'm pretty sure he won golden gloves. I'm almost positive.
Was it him or someone else in his family?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, well, you can.
Hey, we can ask him. Coming up next here on Gary and Matt.
Well, you know, come on.
This is only the proper song to get hyped up for when we have a proper guest, a properly perfect guest in Mr. Stephen M. Sipple from Husker Online 93.7 The Ticket. Steve, it's you, it's me, and it's Mike Schaefer in the seat left to me today.
Wow, Schaefer made the trip, huh?
Schaefer's now
I live
moved.
here now, Steve.
That's right.
So it's a shorter trip than ever.
I didn't know how imminent we were talking about your move. So you're in Omaha. You're in Omaha now.
Yeah, I no longer own property in Lancaster County. I'm technically homeless, so that's why I'm doing the show, to be able to pay for the tent under the overpass.
Well, good luck.
Thank you,
Steve. You were a Gold Glove boxer, correct?
No, silver. I mean,
okay.
As a
Still,
kid, I was a kid. Yeah.
Have you heard about?
I like.
Have you heard about this boxing news with Jake Paul and Tank Davis?
Oh, have I heard it? There's nothing in sports that's more interesting to me than that.
Nothing?
What?
Nebraska's season starts in a week, and you're more interested in Jake Paul?
Wait. Explain.
Well, I mean, that's my job. So I
Okay, that's fair. I get it. I get the distinction. I withdraw the question.
Yeah. So let's say just beyond my job, just the rest. And Shake, you'll be pleased to know I've started to follow baseball pretty closely. But that fight, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I mean, there's so many ways to talk about it. I don't know what to make of Tank Davis doing this, except it's got to be about. I mean, are you guys? I don't know if you're seeing dollar figures. It's got to be like $70 million.
Easily.
Payday, probably
Easily.
And the payday he would have gotten for a rematch with the guy he just fought would probably be not even half that. So I was having a conversation with my grandson yesterday, who's a huge Tank Davis fan.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he says he's compromising himself by doing this. And what I say is, how do you leave? If you're leaving, how do you leave $30 million on the table or $40 million on the table?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that supersedes any talk of compromising yourself. But anyway, I'm really interested in this fight.
Do you have a favorite fight of all time?
No, I can't do that.
Okay.
I mean, the trilogy with Ollie and Frazier would be almost impossible. But there's so many, and I don't know. I feel uncomfortable talking about with you guys because you're so young. There was a time when fight after great fight after great fight every weekend. I mean, in like the welterweight division when they had Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, it's on and on. There's fights all the time.
Were you a Arturo Gotti fan?
I like Gotti.
Yeah.
He's tough.
Gotti Ward 1 is my
Why did
favorite
you
of
ask
all
me
time.
about Gotti? Why did you ask me about Arturo
Gotti and Ward 1 is my favorite fight ever.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, in Connecticut.
Wow, you had to be like 4 years old.
No, I go back and I watch old fights.
He was watching Marvin Hagler.
I watched 3 Hagler fights last night because I was so pissed off about the Davis Paul.
Hagler was yeah, he was good. He was excellent.
Was it?
Not my style of fighter.
Oh, you don't like the walk him down right hooker? You don't like that?
I don't know. He's just a brute. He's just a brute kind of.
I know. It was awesome.
You want a thinking man's fighter? That's what I'm hearing.
We got a dog issue here. I always like Hearns better.
Yeah, I was going to put because I mean,
Cobra.
you put him down. The hitman.
I'm in a little dog situation here. Let me get out of it. Hold on. All right, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, if you don't like Hagler, you love Hearns because he just waddles around the ring with his hands down, and he's super long.
Who's that? What did you just say? What did you just say about Hearns?
Not waddles, but moves around the ring with his hands down, and then he fires at you, and he knocks you out. He knocks you out in the first round. I'm not dissing Hearns. I'm not dissing the hitman.
Well, he doesn't hurt. He doesn't waddle.
I'm not waddle.
Incredibly.
He gallops. My apologies. Gallops around. I misspoke. I did misspeak there.
Yeah, the Cobra was incredible.
Okay.
But anyway, I like that talk. We could do that anytime.
I know.
Do that anytime.
I am a closeted old school boxing fan because of my
How do you regard Tank Davis and that guy's fight?
The 60-pound difference and the 6-inch thing definitely does worry me, but I just think there are levels to it. And I just think that there are technical boxing things that Tank Davis knows and has done at such a high level that Jake Paul doesn't know and will never be able to do. And I also think Jake Paul is incredibly flat-footed. He's just, he doesn't really work on his toes. I don't think he puts enough power into the one above average punch that he has. I think he searches for things too much. I don't think he goes to the body enough. Davis does all of that.
Yeah, if the fight's real, if it's real.
That's the biggest question, isn't it? Like
Right.
no part of me can care about this because there's too many like fake fights that happen.
Yeah.
Right. But if the fight's real and Tank Davis trains and comes to fight, I would think he would. I don't know if he can knock him out.
Oh, I think he can knock him out.
I think in the fight. I know
That's
he can
his
fight
thing.
heavyweight.
That's why he is who he is, because he's so small but packs such a big punch. I mean, he killed Ryan Garcia on that one liver punch, and I mean that would have killed anybody.
Well, I was gonna say, can he chop him down?
I think he could. I don't think you want to take a Tank Davis liver shot.
He might be able to chop him down. I don't know though. You're giving 60-pound difference. It's hard to knock that guy out.
Yeah. But that might be the extent to his power. We have to see. We won't know. We won't know till he takes the first left hand, and then we'll know.
I'm just pleased that you asked me because I was excited yesterday when Alex sent me the screenshot of this fight. I was like, it gives me something to look forward to in November.
Well, I can't wait for. Are you going to Vegas for Crawford? Well, we got the Nebraska football games. Probably not, right?
No, I don't have that kind of money.
I don't think any of us do. It's
What
crazy.
are you paying? What are you paying for that?
I think to get in, it's like $450, $500 just to get in.
I'm excited about that fight too.
Yeah,
right?
fair enough.
This one's just more. I don't know. It's a little more.
All right, we got to talk. We got to talk Husker football.
You don't have to. You could just go boxing the entire time. Your email box would not fill up. Twitter wouldn't get mad.
No,
just talk boxing.
Omaha's a boxing town more than Lincoln. I'll tell you that.
Oh God, yeah. Are you worried about the Canelo fight at all? In terms of the matchup with Bud?
I like Crawford though. I battle with my grandson. He wouldn't mind me saying this. He knows boxing, present day boxing, better than I do. Alex does, and he likes Canelo, and that concerns me. But it's just hard to bet against Bud because he's smart. He'll figure Canelo out.
Yeah,
I think that
Canelo's got his hands full now.
Canelo is so slippery.
Bud's smart.
Bud is smart. That's where I think Bud might be the worst matchup for Canelo, and the fact that I don't think Canelo has fought anybody who has the fighting IQ that Bud Crawford does.
Well, Bud will know exactly how to do it, exactly how to win, and he's gifted enough to execute it. So I think like Bud to win.
I think Bud takes pictures in the first 2 or 3 rounds, and then he goes at him 4 through 8, and then
I think it's a decision though. I think it goes the distance. I don't think that Canelo's ever been knocked off his feet.
He's been rocked before. When he fought Caleb Plant a couple of years ago, he got some snot on him, but I don't know if he did lose a fight not too long ago, but that weight division was way too high for him. So
anyway,
yeah, I mean, if Bud's performance against Errol Spence has been better than any Canelo performance in the last, say, 2 years.
Okay.
So I think that Bud's got the upper hand. And talk about making a lot of money. That fight is going to make a lot of money. All right, let's talk Nebraska football real quick. I pondered the question to Mike Schaefer, and I think he brought up a really good point. And so I'm actually going to alter the question for you. Do you think when it comes to Mekhi Nelson that there is like a proper over-under money or like an over-under line to put at his total yards? Like, do we have an idea of what his contributions may or may not be this season? Or is this going to be we're going to find out when we find out?
So those questions, as you guys know, are really hard to answer because you don't know how the season is going to go. You don't know exactly what the run-pass ratio is going to be. You don't know how games are going to go. I mean, if they're blowing out teams, if they blow out a few teams and he gets in, it could alter the number.
Sure.
He gets in the second half and gets 15 carries for 170 yards. That alters the conversation quite a bit, right?
Yeah,
no doubt.
So it's hard to it's always hard to play this game. So you're wondering yardage over under. You can still play it. I'd say 3. I'm setting over under here, so I'm trying to attract action on both sides.
Yeah.
I'd set it at 350.
Okay. I think that's a good number. I think that, but there might be a situation.
Schaefer, when you think of that number, what would you do? What would you do, Schaefer?
So my issue with it is I'm not entirely like, are we talking total yards or are we talking just rushing yards? Because I don't know if he's going to get 350. Yeah, I don't know if he'll get 350 rushing yards. Because I anticipate he's going to have just like a total amount of touches, and he could be more effective catching the ball out of the backfield. But your point about the blowouts is hard because Nebraska just hasn't been in a lot of those on the positive end of it. So you kind of forget, like, someone could put up big statistical numbers in the back half of a Houston Christian game just because we haven't seen a lot of those for Nebraska in the last 8 years. So
great point.
It does make it sort of difficult to land on a number because you could just see half of that production come in a single game.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's at least a couple games on the schedule where
I agree.
Sprint off.
I agree entirely. This wasn't what I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to morph this into an actual question. Do you think there's a chance we just don't get any clarity on Nebraska's backup running back throughout the season, that it just ends up being like they have their starter, but their backup is almost more by committee?
Yeah, I yes and no. It'll be Nelson and Mosby. I just think you're leaning in this conversation towards Nelson because Mosey's inexperienced. And now Nelson's inexperienced too, but Mosey's even more inexperienced because he was playing receiver and made the change recently. And it's a big change. I mean, if you had listened to Barthel yesterday, you got a sense of it. I mean, he was asked, just moving from receiver to running back, just in terms of making the adjustment in a physical sense, how big is that? And it's sizable. It's way different how you see the game, from split out versus behind the quarterback. You have 11 guys trying to kill you. If you just take a handoff and go, or take a pitch, you're in the Big Ten, which is ultra physical, and it's a wait and see for me how Mosey handles all that.
Agreed.
Now Nelson, I don't know. You could say, well, wait a second. Nelson's a redshirt freshman. He had 2 carries last year. Why don't you have those reservations? I don't as much with Nelson because he's an angry runner. He's a tough kid. I'm not saying Mosey's not, but Nelson is that. He's an angry runner. I'm not worried about Nelson going into contact. And I'm not even worried about Mosey. I just got to see it. I'm not worried about it, but Nelson, everything I heard, I'm not worried about him. I'm not really worried about him at all. So I think it's kind of pretty defined too. And then you use Mosey, and there's situations probably that you're more apt to use Mosey as a situational back.
When it comes to Satterfield talking yesterday, he said something that it wasn't like, it was hidden a little bit in the context in which he said it, but he was talking about young quarterbacks, and he goes, young quarterbacks don't always hit their check down and get their head up. And Dylan's been doing that. He's been getting his head up and he's been hitting those check downs. That statement does what for you?
I fully expect it.
Yeah.
Didn't do a lot. I think that they're gearing for that more for a variety of reasons. And one might be to protect the defense, hold on to the ball a little bit.
Sure.
Keep the chains going. That's been a recurring thought in my head as camp has progressed. And they've done this thing where they're emphasizing routine plays, and check down, take your check down. Yeah, you don't have to. Keep the ball a little bit. Get first downs, take it down the field, protect your defense a little bit. I don't know if that's their big picture thought. It's just something that occurs to me. But as far as Dylan goes, I never worry about Dylan about decision making, anything like that. As long as there are players around Dylan, as long as there's good talent around Dylan and he's protected at a reasonable level, he's gonna do very well. I'm probably a little more confident in him than most. He seems like, everybody points to last year. Look at his numbers, not that good. Didn't play very well down the stretch, and he didn't play very well in the second half of the season. Although he came on late, against Wisconsin, he looked great. I thought in the bowl game he did what he had to do. But I have a lot of confidence in him as long as there's guys around. And I don't know. I think you could say, well, wouldn't you say that about any quarterback? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that about any quarterback. But someone with Dylan's talent level, I don't mind saying it. He's a first-round talent.
He is.
I mean, that's what he is. As long as there's guys around him. So he's gonna do really well. And the one thing he'll make good decisions. So I'm very confident in the quarterback.
Matt's cutting me off. He's cutting me off.
Quick question.
All
We
right.
got a quick question.
Very fast. You can just give a name and a quick explanation if you want. We saw yesterday ESPN came out, their 43 breakout players. They had an Isaiah Hunter as Nebraska's breakout. Do you have a breakout for the 2025 season for the Nebraska Huskers, Steve?
Yeah. Why? If it wasn't Hunter, it'd be Barnes.
Okay.
Would you say he already broke out?
I wouldn't say Raiola broke. I don't know that I don't think they have a
anybody
breakout
did.
on their roster that has already happened, if that makes sense. I think there's levels for all of those guys still to jump.
If you guys were at that open practice, Hunter's speed caught he's got some serious speed.
He's a lot better than I thought he was. I know that. That was one of the takeaways I had from that open practice.
Yeah,
I thought he was good, but I think there's way more upside than I realized.
Here's the deal. He's a good pick. I mean, he had 40 catches at Cal, so it's not a total breakout like we're talking about. But he's definitely their second best receiver in my mind. It's Key, and then it's Hunter, and then it's Barney. It's pretty defined. He's probably got a little edge on Barney because he's more physical. He's 205, I think. And Barney, I don't even know Barney. I don't know how often you even line up Barney wide.
Slot.
There's some corners that's going to take him into the stands. Literally, he's 175.
He's going to pull a Michael Orr on him.
Yeah. So, I like Hunter. Hunter's a good breakout. He's a good breakout choice for sure.
Alrighty, Steve.
Now, what about Carter Nelson? Though, I mean, Carter Nelson, I would think would be in that conversation, but there hasn't been much conversation about him, which is.
Wouldn't you think Lindenmeyer? Wouldn't you think Lindenmeyer would go ahead? Wouldn't you think Lindenmeyer go ahead and Nelson in front of Nelson in that regard though, because he's going to get more snaps?
It depends how you. Yeah, it kind of depends how you look at it. Carter Nelson's a more exciting player, so he's more apt to catch the ball downfield and go and go make bigger plays is what I'm suggesting. So yeah, but Lindenmeyer is their best tight end.
Oh, by far.
I don't mind saying that.
Yeah,
it's a hard discussion because you're sort of, it's kind of play specific. What are you looking for in a given situation? Lindenmeyer, he's their most all around strong tight end.
Yeah.
But those other guys, Heinrich, Harburg, and Carter Nelson, are going to make some wild plays this season.
Big time. Simple, you're the best. I'll talk to you soon, all right, my man?
All right, good boxing discussion. See you later.
See you. Yeah, that was an incredible boxing discussion. We won't be talking about boxing with our next guest. B.E. Brian Edwards gives you your picks for week 0 of the college football season. Coming up next on Gary and Matt. Hey, Red Out Week is the culmination leading up to the Huskers taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats. If you want to join us for an ultimate blur tailgate, go ahead to 1620 The Zone and enter in your information. Agrees to the terms and conditions applies. The blur ultimate tailgate will be taking place at Kauffman Stadium, just steps away from Arrowhead, before the Huskers take on the Bearcats. We are joined by the incredible Mr. Brian Edwards of VegasInsiders.com and MajorWager.com. BE, we are finally here. We are finally here, my friend. We are at football season.
Yeah, fired up. Been a long wait, but less than 48 hours away. I'm sorry, right at
no, we're at 40. We're 50 hours away.
49.
Oh, yeah, I guess 49 and 10 minutes is where we're at.
There we go.
Incredible math done by you and me. Let's go through this quickly. Cyclones, Kansas State, Farmageddon. Probably shouldn't be in Ireland, but it is. Who cares? Who you leaning? And do you have any props?
Yeah, so I got Iowa State +4 several weeks ago, but I still like it at +3. Okay. I have the Cyclones number 27 in my power rankings. I have K-State 29. So slight edge to them outright on a neutral field. And I'll also point out Iowa State has won 4 of the last 5 against K-State, and they've covered all 5. The only loss was a 10-9 loss, the 1.5-point underdog in 2022, and they beat them 29-21 in the regular season finale last year, albeit in Ames. And both teams have proven quarterbacks and bring back a lot, but Iowa State went 11-3 last year, and K-State went 9-4. And I like the Cyclones to win outright. For that's my like 1.5 to 2 units on that. I'm going to put a half unit on a player prop for Iowa State new wide receiver Chase Sowell, who was at East Carolina last year. He's their only 4-star transfer. I'm confident he's going to be Rocco Beck's favorite target because he lost his 2 studs.
Yeah, Noel and Higgins.
Yeah, who both had nearly 1,200 receiving yards apiece last year and went to the Texans as day 2 draft selection. But so Sowell, in 6 of his last 7 games at ECU last year, he had the following receiving yards numbers: 75, 50. That's the only under. The only outlier is that one, 50. Then 117, 138, 82, 67, and 72. So in 6 of his last 7 games, he had at least 67 receiving yards. So that's at least 9.5 over this total of 57.5. So I'm going over Chase Sowell receiving yards.
Fresno State plays Kansas. You are leaning toward the underdog, if I'm correct, and arguably the second best matchup of the day.
Yeah, but I need 14, and right now it's at 12.5 or 13. So if a 13.5 pops later today or tomorrow, I'll buy the half point to 14. Now, I'm not as bullish on Fresno if you can get it at 14 as I am Iowa State. It would be a very small play. But if that doesn't happen, I may just wait and see if a live opportunity or a halftime opportunity presents itself where I can get at least 14. But, let's say if Kansas gets the opening kick, goes down and gets a touchdown, they'll probably be able to get better than 14 on a live bet. So I got to have 14, small opinion Fresno.
UNLV has a damn good team this year. I think they're going to make some noise. Dan Mullen in Vegas this season. They play Idaho State. I mean, for a team that was nearly ranked, I kind of agree with you. 26.5-point favorite isn't enough. I mean, am I wrong there? I think you're on it too, correct?
Yeah, I lean UNLV. So Mullen got 42 transfers.
Yeah.
And they're all 3-star transfers, but 16 of those guys were 4-star prospects out of high school, and 2 of them were 5-stars out of high school. So a lot of guys, reclamation projects that obviously have talent, but that have kind of underachieved and been disappointments to date, but, have a, have a chance to resurrect their careers and do it under an outstanding coach. And Idaho State went 5-7 at obviously the FCS level last year. The only power, or what used to be a Power 5 school, is Oregon State. That's who they played in the opener last year. They lost 38-15 by 23. I think UNLV is probably a little better than what Oregon State was last year. So anyway, but I mean, this is more about UNLV, and I think Mullen, obviously being a great offensive coach, he's going to be, I mean, not that him wanting to put up fireworks in the first game translates to it happening, but, I don't think it'll be a situation where they're up 3 touchdowns and have their third string guys in the fourth quarter. I think he's going to be trying to put up big numbers.
We got a little unlucky last week in our UFC picks. Jeff Neal looked pretty good in that fight against Carlos Pratis, but Pratis had one of the best knockouts I think we've ever seen, probably in UFC history. And then unfortunately, Hamzat Chimaev just decided to stop going for a submission after the second round. We have a pretty good card, UFC 320, with probably the only true draw the UFC has left, maybe outside of Sugar Sean O'Malley and Alex Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev. We got a pretty good undercard too, Davalishvili and Sandhagen, Prohaska and Roundtree. We got to get out of here in like a minute, but give me your UFC parlay, Mr. Brian Edwards.
Yeah, so my only pick, I'm just going to do a 3-leg parlay. Sergey Pavlovich around minus 225 to minus 240. Let's go with Ming Yang, undefeated in the UFC, beating Anthony Smith in his retirement fight. He's in the minus 340, minus 350 range in the main event against Johnny Walker. And then let's go with Michelle Piella, who spelled like the former champ Alex Pereira.
I totally got that wrong.
Yeah.
I totally messed that up.
He's around minus 280. So those guys, Pavlovich, Ming Yang, and Paella, plus 153 neighborhood, I would hope. But, as long as plus 140 or so, or even plus 130, 3-leg parlay with those guys.
Took me 9 months to fully mess up your picks, Brian Edwards, but I appreciate you powering through it like a pro. We will see you next week, where we might have a pick on the Husker Cincinnati game.
We might.
All right,
we might. Great weekend, man.
You
Thanks
too. All right. Talk to you soon. Brian Edwards, VegasInsiders.com, MajorWager.com, one of the best in the business. Another person who is one of the best in the business is Mr. Mike Schaefer of Huskers 24/7. Go and subscribe to the Huskers 24/7 page. Go and read this man's work. One of the best out there, not only just in the state, but in the country. Thank you so much for joining me the last few days on the radio show. This was fun, man.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you for the very nice, very kind words.
Of course. You're the man. Jake Janicek, he's been on the 1s and 2s the last 3 days. We want to show you our appreciation, our thoughts about it. So
Appreciate
so
it.
much,
Thank you, Matt.
Jake. Don't forget, this is Red Out Week, baby. All week leading up to Nebraska versus Cincinnati. Can't wait to take the ride with you. You're listening to Gary and Matt. Connor Apper Show, and the crossover is up next.